The Buffalo Bills were back to practice today for a walkthrough as they're getting ready for the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. Injury report from today's practice. It's brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. Spencer Brown, Dalton Kincaid practicing on a limited basis today along with Dion Dawkins, who remains in concussion protocol. Joshua Palmer, Terrell Bernard, Joey Bosa, all not practicing today. Head coach Sean McDermott saying that Bosa's injury is a week-to-week injury at the moment. Other Bills news from today, Christian Benford named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week after his fumble recovery for a touchdown and interception against Pittsburgh. Around the NFL, the Cleveland Browns have opened their practice window for quarterback Deshaun Watson. Watson last year suffered an Achilles tear. To hockey, the Buffalo Sabres starting a 6-game road trip tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. Colton Ellis expected to get the start in net tonight for Buffalo. It'll be Samuel Ersson, the starter for Philly. Puck drop for Sabres and Flyers, 7:30 tonight. Pregame starting at 6:30 here on WGR. It is a TNT game, which means the only way to listen to Dan Dunleavy and Rob Ray on the call is right here on the radio home of the Sabres, WGR Sports Radio 550. This holiday season, we're kicking off Mission Give Where You Live to benefit Buffalo City Mission. It's powered by NYSEG. Starting now through December 19th, you can donate brand new sweatshirts, sweatpants, hats, gloves, scarves, and non-perishable food items to help keep our community warm and fed. Just stop by any Dash's Market location, drop off your donation to the Mission Give Where You Live donation bin. And if you're shopping online, you could still help out by giving through the Buffalo City Mission's Amazon wish list. It's sponsored by the Barnes Firm and Dash's Market. You can get all of the details at kiss985.com. This update's brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Derek Kramer for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Schopp and the Bulldog.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
Monday, Tuesday, hump day is halfway. It's Mike Schopp.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
And the Bulldog.
Hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on. I know you can hear me.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
On WGR.
Hump day!
Sports Radio 550.
Man, where have I been? Deshaun Watson? Yeah. And you knew? I didn't know that. You're like, oh. Yeah. I follow somebody who's always tweeting about Deshaun Watson. I'm like, I have not thought about him. This is 2 weeks out, the Bills and the Browns.
Right.
Could that happen?
I mean,
what do you know here?
What I know is, well, first of all, someone for like maybe more than a month. This is one of those things I always thought, like, if it comes up, I guess, reverse AFC power rankings would be an opportunity to mention it. Every week for a while now, Stefanski gets asked because someone I follow is just giving me just Browns media availabilities.
Who would that be?
I don't even know. It might be just someone I follow retweeting an account that's asking him, what's going on with Deshaun Watson?
I don't have a Browns.
Is there a practice window opening up or something? And I've
got Goodberry, who's today. I've got Andrew from Pittsburgh.
You know who I've got?
Jeremy Kahn. I've got Jeremy AFC North.
Have you talked to Spencer German?
Yes.
Okay.
Rochester guy.
Yeah.
Or he worked there.
He's in Cleveland.
I might follow him.
And when I had him on, the first time I think we had him on, I had him on solo in the summer, I think. Or earlier than that. Whatever. And I think I started following him then. And that might be where I'm seeing retweets of Browns news conferences where Stefanski is asked. It's like every week. And it's always non-committal. I don't even really know how he's answered other than, we're just trying to get him healthy. Every week. So today I saw that they had opened his 21-day window. And what I know is that our buddy Armando Salguero wrote about it.
I follow him.
And he said like their motivation to not put him on the field should be extremely high.
I know, but I'm wondering what that means to this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this a strike against that theory?
I don't know if they're just going through the motions because he's healthy. I think the whole thing will be predicated on whether he can pass a physical or not. So if he's able to practice, then
haven't you already passed the physical?
Right. I don't know how that works, but the physical going into next year though is the key element, I believe, from what I read from Armando, because the cap figure for next year is something in the 80 millions for Deshaun Watson on the Cleveland Browns. But if he is proven to be, or if they can prove that he's not healthy, they'll get a lot of relief from both, I think, financially and cap-wise. Like, the cap hit gets cut in half if he is physically, incapable of playing. So I don't know if you want to play him and he demonstrates that he's healthy, then I think you might be on the hook for $80 million
Well,
eventually.
That would not be advised.
I don't think you want to do that if you're the Browns.
And they're bad.
Yeah.
And they have 5 games left, and they have no incentive to win.
No.
So what is this?
I don't know. Maybe you play him because he's the worst of your guys. I mean, he hasn't played since.
Can't be that much worse.
Well, like early last year, I guess, is when he last played.
But he can't be that much worse than what they're using.
I think that's also fair.
They should have. Wow, Cleveland. There are so many. We've talked about this. There are so many interesting, really up in the air quarterback situations in the NFL going into next year. The Browns, quintessentially, what should they want to do?
They just drafted 2 guys.
They just drafted
in
2
the last
guys
draft, but nobody, third round, 5th round, yeah.
Who predictably are not good.
Right.
Like Sanders, we're trying to find the good. Gabriel maybe also, but neither guy gives you any real, I think, anyway, confidence that you don't need to draft somebody else or sign somebody else. Watson. Who should we want the Browns to roll out in Week 15? Week 16.
Week 16, yeah. 15 is Patriots. I honestly don't – I can't allow myself to be worried about them playing Deshaun Watson.
I'm not worried.
I might even feel like that might be the worst of their 3 options.
Well, maybe. But, again, it's weird if they do it. What are they going for?
Right.
They're trying to find out if he can play, really? I mean, it's torn Achilles. It's the bad shoulder. I think the shoulder, when he left last time, or before the Achilles, I guess, when he was really struggling, it was the shoulder that was the story, not the scandal.
Right.
Or whatever sort of, like, confidence he'd lost. I mean, that might just go, it might just be in turn. But the shoulder, it looked like he couldn't throw. And so that, and then an Achilles tear, and that's like a little more than a year ago. There was a setback, supposedly, but when you open, I need to know from Sal or somebody, like when you open the practice window, aren't you like there? Shouldn't you be past the point of passing the physical when that happens? Isn't the whole point to like not do that?
I think again
until you're physically able to like ramp up.
I think the timing of the physical again is for like next year's purposes, like before, like whenever the report date is.
No, I don't mean like for the contract and all of that. Just like logistically, doesn't it make sense to think that you should have to be able to pass a physical before this?
Yes, I think so.
Well, okay then.
So
unless we're wrong about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the whole premise that I read from Armando is shaky. I don't know because I'm not sure all the machinations.
Okay.
But the way he wrote it pretty plainly was, if they can hide behind insurance, if he can't pass a physical next year, then they get a lot of relief.
Of course.
And I think that comes due like whenever the new league year starts and all that stuff.
I just never had pondered the possibility that he would play this year.
Well, sure. The recurring tweets that I'm referring to from Stefanski's media appearances to me sort of took on, I wondered if it was just a bit even, not from the coach, but from the report. Like, I'm just going to keep asking about Deshaun Watson. until like something happens.
It's okay to.
Yeah, and
I think.
yeah, he's on. I mean, he's there.
What's the latest?
And maybe eventually you get an answer that's different than we'll see. And I guess today was that day. I mean, I think we're still at we'll see. He's just starting to practice, but
it's 21 days.
It's the kind of thing you do if you're getting someone ready to play, I think.
And I wonder too if they have any sort of like, I'll say legal obligation to do this if he can pass the physical. Like if he is,
right.
Because, he should have the opportunity to play if he's healthy. But the team has incentives to not play him when he is. So very interesting. I hadn't thought about him at all. That game, it's a 21-day window. That game is in 17 days. Like that would be the game. When Burrow, right or wrong, when they opened the window for the proverbial window for Burrow, there were 2 games that happened. And the first one he was never going to play. The second one, he might, and we thought he would, and then he didn't.
Right.
And then Thanksgiving was the third one. And Monday of that, last Monday, he's good. So the third game in the 21 days, that's what you're doing. What was Hairston?
That was really quick. They opened that window, and he played right away.
The first week?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Hairston got on the field, and then suddenly he was like no injury designation, and he's just playing.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't,
if you're ready, you're ready.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and they could
Watson.
wait until after the Bills game and then activate him that week before the fourth game. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a deadline by that Bills game. They've got a few days wiggle room. So I don't know.
No, but if he doesn't play that game, he won't. Then he can't play.
No, because they can activate him. That's the thing.
Oh, well, okay.
So
that's what I meant.
4 days after they play the Bills. If they play the Bills in 17 days, they've still got days to activate him, and then he could play.
Or they could activate him, and he'd be a backup.
Sure, whatever. But there's not a deadline at the Bills game. But
ADP chasing fans, is Deshaun Watson the guy you need this year to win fantasy tournaments?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nobody ever drafted him once.
And
Nobody drafted him once.
I don't know, again, all the machinations of what the Browns should be motivated to want to happen. But if indeed he has to be not healthy so they get like 50% of that $80 million in relief on the cap, then I don't know, like you dig divots in your practice field where he's going to be dropping back so he twists his knee or something. Like, what are they going to do?
No.
Because there's just no way that they should. I wonder, if they have to. I wonder if like he is, I'm healthy. The doctor says I'm healthy. My doctor says I'm healthy. Does he go in there and it's a scene? Like if they say we don't want you to play. We don't want you to start practicing. We kind of don't want you around. They probably have to allow him to participate, I think. Or
I don't know.
It's a whole situation.
Why should they have to do that? They have to pay him. They have to, maybe even activate him. They have to pay him. That's what they have to do is pay him. They don't have to play him. Roy Hobbs. I'm not going to play him. He's on the team. I'm not going to play this bum. He's old and terrible. Turns out he wasn't terrible. He was good. In fact, he was great.
Maybe you open his practice window. I don't even want to say it. I just don't know.
I want to know, though.
The whole thing is
want to know.
Very strange.
I want to know, what is the game theory on this?
Yeah.
Short term, long term. Why would it make any sense short term? They're playing Tennessee. I'll stop on the Browns. I'm sorry. I do love AFC North life. I love the Bills playing the Steelers and the Bengals and the Browns. It feels right. 25 years ago, they could have had this on on the regular, but Ralph Wilson wanted to stay with the AFL rivals. So they stayed with the Jets and the Patriots and I guess the Dolphins. When it realigned in 2002, I think it was, the Bills wanted the AFL tradition. That was the story anyway. So, okay, this is cooler. I like it. It would be subjective. I like it in here. I like the Browns and the Steelers and the Bengals on this schedule. I don't know. It's all more drivable.
Yeah, regionally it has always made sense.
So I would like to know the game theory on the Browns thing because I can't figure it out. What do they want? And they're playing Tennessee this week, 2-10 versus 1-11, isn't it? Like, it's for the first pick of the draft. We said yesterday you can get tickets for $3. What a deal.
Browns are 3-9. But yes.
3-9 versus
111. 2-10 is the Raiders. They're in between.
Okay. So the Browns don't have a great shot at it if they lose, but they still do have a shot at it if they lose to Tennessee.
Sure.
Wow. Okay. What are the Bengals in terms of a rival of the Bills? Like, where would the Bengals rank on the rivalry rankings, in the rivalry rankings currently? This is a sliding scale.
Yeah.
It's fluid, as you like to say.
I think it...
Top 5?
Chiefs, Ravens, Patriots.
Ravens.
There's been playoff meetings. They kicked the crap out of the Bills last year. Yeah, I think they to me are more. Yeah, they're more valid as a rival right now than the Bengals, even though the history doesn't go back as far. I'm just thinking, since the Bills got really good.
Since Allen.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are a team because they're right there with you. And the Bengals, though, I think because there's only been the one playoff meeting and then one regular season game and like a quarter of another one, it's just not as hot as the Ravens, I think. Not that the Ravens have never beaten the Bills when it mattered, I guess, but I feel like
that's a big difference.
That is, but they're such a quality team year over year and a contender every year, just like you, that I feel like they kind of outrank the Bengals. They've not really been like the Bengals had a lost year last year and almost another lost year. We'll see if they can recover here now that Burrow's back, but they're still only 4-8. They're one game better than the Browns.
They are.
So,
congrats.
But I think maybe top 5. I would say the teams I mentioned. It's just my opinion. Chiefs, Ravens, Patriots. The Bengals could be something right in there 4 or 5. No one else springs to mind ahead of them.
Are we saying? Because I kind of want to be saying this. Are we saying that this can change like day to day? Does it have to be year to year?
Year to year, meeting to meeting, maybe.
Because New England should be above Baltimore.
Oh, sure. I wasn't necessarily going in order. I was just giving you these 3
Good.
Immediately come to mind.
Good.
The Bengals are below them. Yeah, I didn't have them ranked necessarily.
Okay, good.
I should have been less sloppy about articulating that. But anyway, I feel like the Bengals are below those 3, and I don't know they've had playoff meetings with Pittsburgh. Are the Bengals and the Steelers somewhat similar, except that the Bills murdered the Steelers in the playoffs? And the Bengals had their way with the Bills the last time they played.
I know that you're never speaking for everybody, of course. And this is really an obvious time to say this because last week's game just happened and this game hasn't happened yet. I think the Steelers are kind of a joke. And a week ago, I would have been not as eager to say that. But right now, the Steelers are kind of the punchline. They're just like, when are you ever going to change? What are you doing? 9 years since a playoff win. Is it funny to you? Like, when are you ever going to do something else? Aaron Rodgers, by the way, I think the Steelers are kind of laughed at. And the Bengals usually are laughed at. Most of their existence, they've been laughed at. But not really necessarily right now. And if you're a Bills fan, you don't want to make fun of this game. I mean, Cincinnati did a thing that almost nobody has ever done, and that's win a playoff game in Buffalo. Like that, they did that, and they did it handily. Like they did that decisively, impressively. So enough with you guys and your Chiefs fixation. It doesn't have to be Kansas City you could lose to. The Bengals came in and really that was they punked the Bills that day.
And didn't they then beat Kansas City the following week in Kansas City? Or have I got my years mixed up?
No, they beat them the year before.
Oh, okay. That's it.
They beat them in the 13 seconds year. But then they lost a very close game the next year. They could have gone 2 in a row.
Yeah. Okay. But they've won in Arrowhead.
They've won in Arrowhead in the playoffs.
Yeah, not that matters to the Bills rivalry, but yeah.
No, it doesn't exactly, but it does in how, sort of the whole context of the last 5 years in the conference. Cincinnati, I don't know if I want to say this. Do they outrank the Bills in this era for what they've accomplished? I mean, they have made a Super Bowl. They have won a playoff game here in a different season. Have they done better than the Bills? Maybe not, but it's comparable. Like, it's both teams. It's not just the Bills and the Ravens who have to suffer at the feet of the Chiefs. It's Cincinnati too, but Cincinnati does have that win in the playoffs in Kansas City, and they almost did it again. Well, the Bills have almost done it a couple times themselves.
They haven't had their regular seasons haven't been as impressive because they've had last year and they're having this year. But playoff-wise, it's closer than you might like, I think I'd say. If not even advantage them. I think I want to put them fourth. Miami maybe is fifth, even though Miami's kind of dormant right now. But, traditionally, rivalry-wise, Chiefs, Patriots, Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, I think is how I would go. Top five.
What about Houston?
That was the next team that I was thinking of before I said Miami.
They have a claim to some place on this list, right?
They do,
Allen has never won there.
I think if they were to meet again this January and it goes, at all similarly to how a couple Thursdays ago went, they're maybe knocking Cincinnati out of there, or they're knocking on the door. Miami, get out of here. Like, they're going to be in our hair if that happens again.
It's not crazy to think that it will.
I know.
That division, yesterday I mentioned at some point we want to be ranking the possible wild card opponents. Not official yet. Also, they could miss, but they're probably not going to miss. Just like winning the division will be hard. So you're going somewhere that first week. How many teams could it be? New England, Denver, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, I suppose, is one of them. If they win Sunday, they're
Jacksonville, Indy, or Houston.
Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Houston. That's 8 teams that could end up being a division-winning home team that the Bills would have to face in the first round. What's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? Indianapolis is interesting right now. They've lost a couple. I have bets against the Colts, so I'm kind of fired up to see them lose. I really don't want that so much otherwise because I think they're kind of a cool story, but
best case is you get the AFC South winner if it's not Houston. Sorry for the disclaimer.
What's Jacksonville, though?
But not Houston.
Jacksonville is way different than Houston as an opponent.
They don't have the edge guys. Like, the defense is not the best defense, the most fearsome defense in the league. And despite how that game went and looked and felt, the Bills had the ball, with a chance to throw into the end zone and win it.
How about this question? 5, 6, 7, if it ends up that the Bills don't catch New England, which they will not have any chance of doing if the Patriots win their games against the Jets and Dolphins. That's it. That's all New England needs to do to wrap up the AFC East. Those games are 2 games out for them. They have a bye, and then Bills, then Baltimore. They have to lose. For the Bills to have any chance of winning the AFC East, New England must lose to either the Jets in New York or the Dolphins at Foxborough. If that doesn't happen, is there any difference between 5, 6, and 7? Does it matter at all to you if it's 5, 6, or 7?
It definitely will as we get closer and this AFC South situation sorts itself out. Because and is who's going to win between Baltimore and Pittsburgh or Cincinnati?
Well, that's one question. Does that matter?
Right. It does to me because I'd love to be the 5, right? Because if there are good teams at 5, 6, and 7, like better teams than normal because the way the year's gone, then the potential for upsets up top exists more realistically than it normally does. And so you're the 5. You could be the last. You could be the highest seed standing in a scenario where the Ravens and the Chiefs somehow get in behind you and they knock off somebody up there. Maybe you're playing at home eventually. It might have to be not until the AFC title game, but it could happen. So I'd like to be the 5. Not if I got to go to Baltimore, though. If I got to go to Pittsburgh, give me the 5 all day long. I mean, I just saw that movie. I think I'm not worried about that at all. Baltimore is a lot more intimidating.
Anybody want to take on that question? Are all the wild card eventualities, possibilities the same? 803-0550. Bulldog says they're not because of the Ravens. How long has it been since we've seen the Ravens look any kind of good? I mean, I'm usually a Ravens apologist, I want to say, but I haven't liked them in a long time. Even with Jackson back, he looks off, just really off. He looks bad.
Yep.
For some reason.
I just think there's still time for him to get healthy.
Me too.
And if they get there, if they can, whatever, just piece it together and find their way to it, I said last week, and I still feel this way, I would rather go to Denver as the 7, say, than go to Baltimore as the 5.
Ooh, how about that? Anybody want to take that on? Let me think about that. I kind of want to. Ravens have 2 left with the Steelers to bookend their season. In between, at the Bengals, who they lost to pretty badly at home, New England, and at Green Bay. How many wins is that? They're 6-6? How many wins is that? And if it's 9, that's probably enough. Wow. What an interesting year. 803-0550 for your calls. Joe Goodberry on the Bengals. Sal Capaccio on whatever we ask him. That'll be at 5. The Sabres are in Philadelphia, 6:30 pregame, 7:30 game. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
on film. I see a lot of guys that are playing extremely hard, especially when you bring back their starting quarterback who's one of the best in the league and gives them a revamped kind of life. And they're playing extremely hard. This last game, they had a bunch of turnovers, and we got to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to limit those and keep the ball on our side.
Josh Allen. He likes what he sees in the Bengals, even on defense. I mean, imagine if he said different. Last in everything. Even after that game in Baltimore that they won nicely. Are you still thinking about what if Allen had said how bad they are?
Did you see what we just did to Pittsburgh? These guys are worse than that.
Yeah. Just like...
That'd be great.
I'd like to have one friend, like one sort of secret friend that's on one of these teams that would just tell you anything. Like, it would just tell you the truth.
Right.
Whether it's Allen or anybody else, like, this is going to be a joke. And then you go to the media and, like, just completely change course. Mm-hmm. But even after that game, they're 31st in rushing yards allowed, 32nd in passing yards allowed, 32nd in total yards allowed, 32nd in points allowed. I mean, sure, some of that was early. I mean, the first game they gave up 16 points to the Browns. It wasn't like they went on tilt in week one. But mid-season, pretty bad. They lost to Minnesota 48-10.
How does one do that exactly?
Was that Wentz?
I think
Had
so.
to be.
Yeah, right? Because McCarthy hasn't been. He was hurt so early, and he's never been that good since he came back.
It was Wentz that was the Isaiah Rodgers game where he had like a pick six and a fumble return touchdown, and the turnovers just got stupid on Cincinnati. By the way, speaking of Minnesota, Justin Jefferson, more and more speculation that he's just fed up. You can see it. I talk to Matthew Collar every week on his Purple Insider podcast, and we talk on the air, we talk off the air, and like Jefferson, who is like everybody's favorite, he has been, I think of this in a fantasy context, but it doesn't matter. Like, he has been so good that it hasn't mattered who his quarterback is. When Cousins left, it was Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins, and no matter who it was, Jefferson went 8 for 110. Like, it just didn't matter. Until J.J. McCarthy. Even Wentz a little bit, they got away with it, but not great. McCarthy, not only is Jefferson not doing, like, he's almost benchable in fantasy, which is crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
Depending on, like, your depth. Who's a good name for this? I'll think of a good name for this. I'm just going to say, though, that he's showing his frustration. It's obvious. And you have people talking about, like, this list of teams he would go to or that might inquire about him next year. Maybe he's the guy we're going to be talking about all offseason if this year ends in the second round again when nobody gets open and the Bills lose to Jacksonville or something. Like, just, God. I know.
Yep. Yeah, no, sure. And, we can make all of the fun you want of the Bills and their seemingly only knowing how to reach people they've done deals with in the past, but we know that this organization made a deal for a receiver with Minnesota a few years ago, so they got their number. I mean, obviously he's got everybody's number, but you know what I'm saying. They've done this before, these teams. So yeah, there'll definitely be smoke there. Like if what? I mean, what are the Vikings even going to do? It was part of the reason why I know Matthew was always very, like, just making fun of, we're going to talk to Joe and Sam tomorrow and Friday, right? The room for a while before Jefferson got a contract was, are they going to move him? Because they don't have a quarterback figured out. But, they drafted McCarthy, and that was their plan. They redshirted him, and we're going to hit the ground running, and Kevin O'Connell is so good, he'll just figure it out, and how's that going? So we're back to wondering if, Jefferson is long for Minnesota. But the initial speculation about it was predicated on you're going to pay all this money to a receiver when you don't have quarterback figured out. And now they're back to not having quarterback figured out, it looks like.
Very much so. The best name, I can't find even like a name that's close, but I have to say I wouldn't do this. The best name for fantasy, like would you start this player over Justin Jefferson this week, is Jacoby Myers. But I would say no, probably because of the matchups. Jacksonville, Myers is on the Jags now, have Indianapolis, and the Vikings are home to Washington. Like, that's pretty good. But does it even matter?
I don't know.
Who is somebody that you would start over Justin Jefferson this week? Keenan Allen? Nah, boy. No, I wouldn't. I got to think of somebody where I'd actually do it. It wouldn't be Keenan Allen.
And Myers is definitely a no for you?
No, it's probably a no. I like Myers, and I think he's their number one.
Yeah, I mean, I just watching Red Zone on Sunday, and being someone who was counting on maybe Brian Thomas Jr. to do something in his return for fantasy purposes, like there's another touchdown pass to Jacoby Myers.
You and your juniors.
Right. Yes, me and my juniors is right.
Houston, Kansas City, Sunday night.
That's in Kansas City, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Chiefs are down bad offensive line.
Yeah, the left tackle is on IR, had surgery, so he's missing all but the last game of the season.
At least.
Right. Yeah, it could be longer. Who knows? Maybe he's out, but he's out at least 4 weeks. And they've got other guys injured up there, too. So,
do you think Houston is dog enough to go in there and win? Remember the game in 94? This is not apples to apples exactly. 1994, the Bills had won 4 straight AFC championship games. They owned the conference. But it was a bad year for them. Like they had ups and downs. They were like a team, your TV on the fritz. You know, like there were times when it was great and there were other times when it was terrible. And they were, I think, 7-6 hosting the Patriots. I know you know this game.
I totally remember this game. I thought it was a really significant moment in both teams' arcs.
The Nate Turner game. Number 21 for the Bills, Nate Turner. Kelly is hurt. It's Reich. It's New England. Bledsoe's in his second year. It's a little bit like now.
Parcells.
Let's hope not.
Yep.
But it's in terms of the Patriots, it's kind of like this moment right here. And the Bills are home, and you know, like I wonder if they were favored that day. Just they looked so wonky, but they were the Bills. Like they were at home against New England. What was that? New England had the first overall pick the year before.
Right.
Again, very similar to these last 2 seasons for the Patriots. And the Bills got up in that game. Like, that's right. Blacked out, by the way. I couldn't watch this game, but they got up. Like, of course. You just don't come in here and win in December. And then New England scored like 38 unanswered.
I just hammered them.
And just blew them out. Like, that's okay. Good is better. Good is good.
Yep.
And that day, the Patriots just completely ended the Bills' reign.
Yep. I mean, they did, they made the playoffs the next couple of years there, but they were never. That was to me, that game is like the end point of the Super Bowl. That's it. It's over.
Yeah. They were not even really good teams. New England. What? New England went to the Super Bowl in '96, right? One of the years where the Bills made it and lost to Jacksonville. So anyway, I thought of that game when I thought about Houston and Kansas City Sunday night. Like, is Houston ready? Is Houston the team that can go in there and, like, put the Chiefs to sleep? They have the defense for it. They have the perfect matchup on paper to do this. Everybody's afraid of their defense. The Bills saw it. We all saw it. And here are the Chiefs who can't get right, and their line is broken. Could this be that New England game?
And they can't run the ball.
They never run the ball.
They don't have a pivot really to something else.
What would you do there with a bet? Houston at Kansas City Sunday night. You got the refs too to think about here.
Right.
We don't want Kansas City to be dead, do we?
I might have told you a little bit how I'm thinking about it because I asked to be sure where the game was being played. Because a lot is being – I haven't studied splits on this or anything. But Houston, with that home field, the noise, all of it, I mean, we saw it. I mean, it was a nightmare for the Bills. And I would expect it to be very similar to that if this game were in Houston for the Chiefs. But it's not. It's in Kansas City. How much does that take out of that Houston defense? I think some – But I would still expect those guys up front, the edge guys, to win pretty regularly. We'll just have to see what Kansas City does if they have a plan to deal with that the Bills simply were not capable of putting in place and or executing a couple Thursdays ago. But I think I like Houston in the game.
You do?
Yeah. What are they? How much are they They're an underdog, right? Houston.
Want to guess?
2.5.
3.5.
All right.
3.5.
I think I like Houston. I think if I'm putting a parlay together, I think I would money line them even.
Okay. If this game were in Houston, you can imagine the crowd maybe like it was when the Bills went there, only bigger. Like, this is the Chiefs. This is our chance to, like, break through. I think the Kansas City crowd is like the 94 Bills crowd.
Right.
Which I was in.
Like,
it was like, oh, I'm so tired.
Are we good anymore?
I'm so tired.
Are we any good?
Can we...
The barbecue was good.
Can we just take a break?
Right.
I don't want to see them go to the playoffs and lose by 30. Is it okay if we just sort of skip here? Maybe the Chief crowd would be a little bit tamer. Whatever that's worth. I mean, who cares what the crowd sounds like? But.
Right. Yeah, it's more to me not how, because they wouldn't be making noise while Casey has the ball anyway. So how noisy they are.
Here's how
when Houston has the ball, I don't really care because that offense is not the threat.
It's the second quarter and the game is 3-3, and I'm a Chiefs fan, and it's 3rd and 5 for C.J. Stroud at the Houston 40. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You're probably giving the stink eye to the guy or girl that's standing up going, "Come on!"
Nobody's even doing that.
You're just like, dude, come on. You come on. I'm not coming anywhere with you.
No, well,
not now. Not today.
We need a break here. This is not our year. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's been a good ride. We can come back. I'm talking myself into the Texans. 3.5 though. Are they begging you to pick the Texans with the 3 with that hook? As Joe will use that parlance tomorrow. The hook. Not even just 3. I've got to give 3.5 if I want the Chiefs at home against the Texans. Wow. This is going to be a great week. Joe Goodberry coming up at 4. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR. Flyers tonight, 6:30 pregame. You know what would be fun to play with if it weren't for one thing? That the Flyers are on a 6-year playoff drought.
Oh, yeah, it'd be great to be able to make fun of them.
But you should. 6 years without a playoff appearance is a lot.
You should, but I don't feel like we can.
No, we really can't.
No.
But we can if we, throw in the disclaimer that we know that the Sabres are on 14. It is 14?
Yeah.
The Flyers won a playoff series in 2020 in August. Which,
right.
I mean,
sure. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
They beat the Islanders in a 7-game series during COVID, coming out of COVID. Otherwise, they have not won a playoff series since 2012. They lost to Jersey in the conference semis. So that would have meant they won the first round. But this is back when I was playing playoff fantasy. Yeah, they beat the Penguins. I think they would have had Jágr on their team in 12 to beat the Penguins. Yes, because I had that. And they lost to Jersey in the second round. 2012 is the last, dare I say it, real Flyers series win. And 11, they beat us.
Right.
Which is our last playoff anything.
Yeah.
Real or not.
Right.
So, Philadelphia has gone a long time in hockey without any success that matters. Do the Flyers still burn for you? Will they always?
Yeah, pretty much. Once I get to this game tonight and see the building and hear the fans and see the uniform, yeah, it works.
Lauren Hart?
It still works, yes.
All of it still. Hope for Lauren Hart.
All of it still works for me. Yeah, it's listen. The 14 years has taken, something I think out of all of us who consider themselves Sabres fans. So it's not. I used to say I get out of bed hating the Flyers. I don't any longer get out of bed hating anything about the NHL because the Sabres have sort of ruined that for me for the time being.
That's right.
So it's not what it used to be.
You only hate them.
Right. That's why I said, once I sit down to watch the game, I'll feel it. I can't stand this team. The city, their fans. I just whatever. I watched them win the Stanley Cup in 1975 in the odd. So that sticks, and I'm still 10 years old when I see them playing. But what I don't think about is them ever, or anyone else really for that matter, that annoys me in the NHL, because my team's the most annoying team in the NHL to me. So that's I don't know if that's too tangled.
No, I understand,
but that's where I'm at.
You feel like you're not allowed to hate other teams.
Right. It feels.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Yeah, it feels like play acting.
You can't make fun of a team that's won one series in 15 years because you've won 0.
Right.
Who was the coach of the only Flyers team in the last 15 years to win a round?
Peter Laviolette.
Alain Vigneault. I know.
I wanted to say I wanted to say him.
He's one of these coaches that's coached 7 teams but would never be the Sabres coach.
Is this okay if I admit? My brain went one of the French guys.
Okay.
And I thought if Therrien or Vigneault, but I couldn't differentiate one from the other, and one has coached the Flyers and one hasn't. I don't think Therrien ever coached the Flyers. And so I just defaulted to Laviolette. Because Greg Bauk used to say how much he hated his face.
He hated Laviolette. There might be 20 coaches like this in the NHL, at least 10. All the Sutters they've coached 100 teams, but would never be the Sabres coach. Never, ever would they ever be considered to be the Sabres coach. Just would not happen. There's tons of players like this. Their coach tonight, Tocchet, was a player like this, who's on lots of teams, would never have been on the Sabres. I don't exactly know why that is, or not that I'm not making a provable case, but just like all those kind of like mean, tough forwards.
The kind of guys you need
never
to win in the
be on the Sabres.
Those kind of guys, Gary Roberts.
They were just never, ever going to be Sabres.
Right.
They were just going to beat the Sabres.
Mm-hmm. By elbowing them.
All right, I'm getting fired up.
Yeah.
What is the line tonight? I'm betting on Thompson.
I haven't even looked.
You haven't even looked.
Honestly, I haven't. I went to look before I left for work and said, I'll do it when I get in. And I haven't yet. but I will, because that number, the hat trick, Thompson hat trick business model has been on hiatus because the numbers are not. I can't do it. It's got to be like plus. It's got to be like 60-1, and it's been like 40-1, and I just can't. I can't pour $10 into that and lose multiple times and make my money back. So I'm just not doing it. But it's a road game, so I'll see. Maybe if it's up near 60-1, maybe I'll dive back in tonight.
All right, we'll have to get an update on that. After sports, Joe Goodberry on the Bengals and the Bills Sunday at 1. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
The Buffalo Bills were back to practice for a walkthrough today as they get ready to take on the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. The injury report from today's practice: Spencer Brown, Dalton Kincaid practicing on a limited basis today, along with Dion Dawkins, who remains in concussion protocol. Joey Bosa, Joshua Palmer, Terrell Bernard did not practice today. Head coach Sean McDermott saying today that Bosa's injury is a week-to-week injury. The injury report brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-MILLION. Other Bills news today: cornerback Christian Benford named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week after his performance against Pittsburgh, including a fumble recovery for a touchdown and an interception. Around the NFL, the Cleveland Browns have opened the practice window for quarterback Deshaun Watson. Meanwhile, Chiefs offensive tackle Josh Simmons is out at least 4 games as Kansas City placed Simmons on injured reserve due to a wrist injury. To hockey, the Buffalo Sabres start a 6-game road trip tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. Goaltender Colton Ellis expected to get the start in net for Buffalo. Opposite him for Philadelphia, it will be Samuel Ersson. Puck drop for Sabres and Flyers, 7:30 tonight. Pregame at 6:30. It is a TNT game, which means the only way you can listen to Dan Dunleavy and Rob Ray on the call is right here on WGR Sports Radio 550. This holiday season, we're kicking off Mission Give Where You Live to benefit Buffalo City Mission. It's powered by NYSEG. Starting now through December 19th, you can donate brand new sweatshirts, sweatpants, hats, gloves, scarves, and non-perishable food items to keep our community warm and fed. Just stop by any Dash's Market location, drop off your location in the Mission Give Where You Live donation bin. If you're shopping online, you could still help and give through the Buffalo City Mission's Amazon wish list. It's sponsored by the Barnes Firm and Dash's Market. You can get all the details at kiss985.com. This update's brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Derek Kramer for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
They have this Panther sound effect that is just the cheesiest, stupidest sounding thing. Big voice guy going, Panther goal scored by Sam Reinhart. Where'd you get that thing?
I trapped it. Been keeping it in my bathroom at the motel, feeding it old pizza.
It's Mike Schopp.
If you're calm, that wondrous big cat will be calm too. But if you're scared, that beautiful death machine will do what God made it to do. Namely, eat you with a smile on its face.
And the Bulldog. On WGR Sports Radio 550.
If you follow WGR 550 on Twitter, that's the handle, you'll have just seen a clip come across your feed of us talking about the Bills and the Bengals and the recent history. And there, as you get to it, it's just a video that's paused, and there's a picture of Allen and Burrow meeting at midfield after a game, probably the playoff game that the Bengals won here. And you see this all the time now, and I get it. Like, Allen has his mouth covered, so you can't read his lips or see what he's saying to Burrow. At the same time, you see his entire play sheet on his left wrist. We wouldn't want you to know how I feel about you,
but
here's everything we just ran on my left wrist.
I love that. I'm looking for it now. I haven't seen it yet. But
at WGR
awesome.
550. Then I start talking, so you don't have to get too far into it.
Oh yeah, nobody needs that.
I again, like, it makes sense why coaches and players are always sort of covering their mouths at midfield for these meetings after games.
Yeah.
I don't understand in the Hyundai ads why the person will be like, I just have to tell you what I paid for this car, and then they won't say it, and then they go back to, like, the person's amazed. Why can't you say the amount? Why wouldn't you say, like, wouldn't normally you'd say, why would you have to whisper the amount?
Because it's criminal
to
that
Santa,
they got away with it.
That's the mall cop.
Yeah.
Like, I have to tell you, am I in trouble? I just paid for a car. Why wouldn't you just say it? Where would you ever just not say the number?
It's going to be a long hockey season, I can tell you that.
Joe Goodberry, here he is. Great to talk to you again, Joe. How have you been? How's life?
Life's good. I'm tired of the cold already, though. I think we're really like a week into it, and I'm done.
Wow.
Joe's in the area.
That's the spirit, Joe.
He's not interested in toughing it out so much this year. I get it. It starts and it doesn't. It's not going away for at least 3 months. Joe, so I would love your opinion on the Bills and the Bengals, like what they mean to each other. Historically, currently, thinking about so what are the Bengals to the Bills just in terms of a rivalry? And what did we say, 4 or 5 maybe? That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
They're above the Jets.
Yeah, I have them myself behind the Chiefs, the Patriots, and the Ravens, but I think they're right there with Miami, 4 or 5.
Okay.
There.
How do you see that, and how does it look the other way?
I've never power ranked them. That's a good topic. Maybe I can do the Bengals rivalry. So you guys are giving me ideas here.
Ooh.
But
happy to help.
Yeah.
Who'd be last?
I don't know. I guess I didn't really have to think about that. It was an NFC team. You don't play too often, right?
Right.
But, I go back to 2019, 2020, and I think Bengals fans wanted the Bills to win. If it wasn't going to be them, the Bengals were bad at the time. And it's this fun Bills team with Josh Allen, and it seemed like they have all the energy and, all the vibes and America's team type thing. And, yeah, let's have the Bills win, and let's have them knock off the Chiefs. And then the Bengals somehow leapfrogged them that year, 13-second season, 2021.
Yep.
And the Bengals were able to beat the Chiefs. But it felt like they had the backing of Bills fans. Hey, if we can't beat them, at least you guys can knock the Chiefs off, and that's cool. So the vibes were great. I remember even going into the Hamlin game 2022. It's late in the year. Both teams are on an 8- and 9-game win streak, I want to say. They're feeling good. There's a chance for the number 1 seed for both teams. It's a primetime game. I'm at that game in Cincinnati. The vibes were like I've never been to before. Everyone's hanging out together. There's Bills and Bengals fans partying together, eating together. They're chanting anti-Chiefs chants. It's we don't really care what happens, but our two teams are feeling good right now for the first time in a long time. And then the Hamlin thing happened, and then 3-4 weeks later, we're in the divisional round. It's snowing, and the Bengals just dominated that game, and it felt like everything changed from there in terms of I think the Bills were pretty down at that point, you guys know, and the whole conversation of 2 years in a row from the 13-second game to getting beat at home in the snow by the Bengals, and then since then the Bengals haven't been back to the playoffs, and losing by 3 in the AFC Championship that year, and it kind of feels like the Bengals went from this fun upstart team to we're kind of tired of them now, and they talk a little bit too much, and they were the Burrowhead thing was the next game in Arrowhead, and I think a lot of fan bases around the league were done with the Bengals, done with Joe Burrow, and they're we don't really care. They were fun for a while, but now they're too much, and so I don't know if from the Bengals' perspective or fans, if we see the Bills as a rivalry as much as the Chiefs and the Bills and the Ravens are the top 3 always mentioned as the AFC. And if the Bengals could ever get their stuff together, we could be in that group as well.
Right.
It just seems like the last few years have really stolen that from us.
Yeah, boy, I really appreciate your perspective on this because I'll admit I'm petty enough. I like that, we're unified by trying to take the Chiefs down. So if I can't do it, you go do it. I'm petty enough to not want anyone to do it but my guy. So I don't think I want Burrow to, I don't want you to get to the top of the mountain in this class of elite AFC quarterbacks until my guy is there.
You wanted the Chiefs to beat Baltimore in that AFC Championship.
Yes.
And that was shocking to me.
I didn't want Lamar Jackson to go to the Super Bowl and have a Super Bowl before Josh. It's kind of childish, I admit, but that's I don't know. Some of that stuff is kind of my life force when it comes to sports. I admit it.
You're not alone. I work with a lot of Bills fans and family and stuff, and they felt very similarly. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have rooted and even a little bit for the Bengals. They would have said, and they have said, I don't want Lamar to do it because then that'll knock Josh down a peg. Lamar's already got 2 MVPs, and if he gets a Super Bowl ring, then where's Josh in the hierarchy of AFC quarterbacks? And I think it comes down to the legacy, and we've seen generational quarterbacks from previous generations, whether it's Jim Kelly, and it could be a Boomer Esiason, or Ken Anderson actually is in one of the finalists for the Senior Hall of Fame committee. They get knocked down if they don't have that championship. They get thrown off to the side. We want to remember these guys when it is done, and we hopefully still have another 10, 15 years of this, and probably not 15. It's always overestimated. But at the same time, you're right. I get that perspective, and I do feel for the Bills, though, because I live in the area. That if they did win it before the Bengals, that wouldn't affect me personally. I would be happy for them.
With Joe Goodberry on the Wester Hotline, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. So this Bengals season, Joe, I want to ask this. I want to be quick here. Like, if Burrow needed a couple of more weeks to come back, does he come back? It seemed like there was enough time where he maybe had to. They're also, of course, not dead. And why not come back if you're not dead? So there's that. What do you think? How live are the Bengals as you see the AFC North right now, even at 4-8? And what has that path been like for you this year? Like, did you give when they lose the game to the Jets? It's like, is that it? I mean, just have you kept the faith this year?
I have not kept the faith at all. And I tell people all the time, that even when I bring up playoff odds, and I'm like, there's a 15% chance if they win or whatever the scenario is, people are like, I can't believe you have faith. And I'm like, it's not faith. It's seeing them come from a 1% chance at one point. Because after that Jets game, Jets-Bears, 2 weeks in a row. I mean, just absolute disaster meltdowns of Chase Brown at the end of the game. Can the defense get one stop, just one stop, and we win a game? And he was right. And like you score 38 points, you should win those games. And we've been doing this for 2 years now, in terms of talking to the Bengals. Yep. But they start off 2-0. And remember, that was their issue. They couldn't win games early in the season. You start off 2-0, and Burrow goes down. It's like, you got to be kidding me that this is the season we're having again. They trade for Joe Flacco. The offense comes back to life. So you think they might be able to steal a couple. They just need to win a couple in this 8 to 10 weeks that Burrow's going to be down, and it could be enough in this bad AFC North to revive it. Instead, they go 1-8, and Burrow comes back at 3-8. Sounds like he may be pushed to play against the Patriots 2 weeks ago. That might have went a little bit differently. You might have wanted that win, looking back at it, and that would end up being a closer game than expected. But no, it's not so much faith. It's like, if they do run the table here and get back into it and do it by beating the Ravens, Bills, Ravens, and then, finishing off their schedule, that would be a pretty crazy story and a fun story and a wild ride. And Burrow is 8-0 in his last 8 games if he goes on a run and finishes this thing. So it's more of a what if. Like, we're looking at a scenario that isn't completely crazy. And if it happens, it'll be so fun to see.
What do you think of the competition? Baltimore and Pittsburgh playing twice doesn't help you. I mean, they don't look good, especially the Steelers, I guess. But I don't know what you need there. You need them to split, maybe, to have a look at it. Have you looked at least at that and thought about what it would take? Yeah,
for sure. And there is a scenario where you can go 7-9 and actually win the division. So you could have a team with a losing record, which would be hilarious because I always think that's funny. But, this is supposed to be like the strongest division. We always, AFC North, this and that, has had 3 playoff teams numerous times. They had one year just a few years ago where every team had a winning record. So, like, now to be down where you're at now, they need the Steelers and Ravens to split. So it really doesn't matter who wins. The simulators give them a little bit better of a chance if the Ravens win this weekend over the Steelers, but then you still need that final Week 18 game to matter. So it really doesn't matter too much this week, but they have to split, and the Bengals have to beat the Ravens in the following week after the Bills. They could actually lose to the Bills, be 4-9, and still not really lose much space in this run because they'd have to beat the Ravens and have to win out from there. At that point, they have to win out. But even if they beat the Bills and lose to the Ravens, then it's pretty much done for them. So they have to win this Ravens game coming up in 2 weeks.
How does Burrow look to you, Joe?
He was rusty to start. I think he was throwing high, which is normally a mechanic of not being able to get through your front foot. It's his left toe, that makes sense to me why it was coming off a little bit high, a little bit rusty. But I likened it to them, Forrest Gump running through his braces. They give him 42 throws in that first half, and let's just get the rust off and let's get you looking good. And I thought in the second half, even at the last drive of the second quarter, he looked sharp. He looked like his normal self. And the best thing was that the toe really didn't affect his movement. I thought he moved within the pocket really well. He extended plays. He took off running. And you really couldn't tell, other than the rust early, that he just missed 10 weeks. So that's good. I think, if he can get his timing and accuracy back to where it normally is at an elite level.
Right now, I mean, seasons are long. Injuries change, depth, players get better. The season-long stats are bleak for the Bengals defense, but is it possible that recently they've improved?
Yeah, so they were terrible, to be honest. And we were doing on our show, on the postgame show, like every game was a new stat that they're now the worst in 15 years. They're now the worst at this in 25 years. And we actually got to the point where DVOA, it was the worst defense of all time.
Yeah.
And so it was bad, as dysfunctional and bad as you can expect. And then they have to bye a week, and they made some slight tweaks. They're doing more 3-4 fronts, five-man fronts. They're blitzing a little bit more. They went from the lowest blitzing rate team in the league to a little bit higher, so now they're about 28% blitzing in a couple of these games. It really dialed up some better calls there on third downs. They've stopped the run better the last 2 weeks. Last 4 weeks, they have stopped the run at the 13th best rate in terms of EPA and success rate. So that's good. If you can stop the run, that's pretty good. Their pass rush the last couple of weeks has been really good with Joseph Osai, Miles Murphy. They have had Trey Hendrickson for a while now. They've sort of adjusted and figured out how to generate a pass rush without him. Improved from the worst defense of all time. I would hope so. But is it good enough to really carry them? I don't know. If this offense is putting up 35 a game, if we get back to last year, basically what we're at with like the 29th ranked defense and an offense scoring 35, they still were able to run the table and win the final 5 games last season. It's possible. When you have an offense that can score, it makes your defense different. And I think it makes a difference when Burrow's back.
How is the wind blowing on injuries here? You mentioned Hendrickson, and that maybe still feels like it's not ready to happen. What about T. Higgins?
Yeah, Hendrickson's probably out. I mean, they declared him doubtful right on Monday. But T went through the walkthrough on Monday. He practiced today. They're going to say it's a limited practice. He's still working through the protocol, but it sounds like the expectation is that he will be able to go on Sunday as long as everything clears. He's in the check now, or the stage now where they let him practice, check him the next day. If everything's fine, you move on to the next step. So he's similar to Deion Dawkins in his situation right now with the Bills, so I expect him to play.
With Joe Goodberry here on the Wester Hotline, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, what do you make of, I want to ask basically just your overall macro perspective on the AFC this year. I think with teams like, and this season, of course, is not over, even for the Bengals, but for teams like that are not the Chiefs, a season like this can feel like more of a wasted opportunity if you don't make it. Kansas City right now is, 10th in the AFC, so you might have a chance to get there without the Chiefs being in the way. Do you look at it more like that, or that, no, actually Denver, New England, even the AFC South teams are really good, and it might not be right to think about like this as maybe a softer year, to put it one way?
Maybe I'm a fool. But and I have been a lot of times. I don't respect these other AFC teams right now. I'm still looking at it like the Chiefs aren't there. Are the Bills going to make it? Are the Ravens going to make it? Are the Bengals? I still think the best quarterbacks are going to carry you when you get to that postseason. Now, Drake May is playing really, really well. They haven't played at the toughest schedule, and maybe I'm looking back 2 weeks ago where I feel like if Burrow was playing, that game may go differently. It was close enough that Burrow doesn't throw a pick six that Flacco did that pretty much sealed that game. I look at it and say, okay, maybe the Patriots are good enough. Do they have the weapons? Are they consistent enough? Are they old enough? Does the defense have enough playmakers? I look at the Broncos and I say, I don't know if Bo Nix is good. Like, there are times I'm watching in stretches of games or even games, full games, where I'm like, he can't complete a pass over 10 yards to save his life. He's not great in the pocket when he does get pressured. It's the best offensive line in the league, but if you can generate a little bit of pressure and confuse him, I do think you can get to him. And you're going to play the best teams in the playoffs, hopefully. The good teams make it. But I think like the team that I look at and I feel like they could do it and make a run because I like the parts they have if their guys start playing well. I think the Jags can be an underrated team. I mean, when you have a quarterback like Lawrence that can have these games, he's super inconsistent. But when he does have these games where you're like, man, there he is, where, can we get this more often? But they have a scheme-heavy offense that gets their playmakers the ball. Brian Thomas Jr. has struggled, but they've used the ancillary receivers to really outweigh those struggles. But I think if they can get him going again and get the rest of the offense, they have enough playmakers. And the defense is a confusing type of defense that can throw a lot of different things at you. That I think a defense like that could trick a Bo Nix or a Drake May, and you get them in the playoffs. So, I'm looking at these teams. I'm starting to think of, like, all right, who could be that team to make it if these teams that we expect to be there aren't the ones there?
Where do you stand on Indianapolis? They've had a rough couple of weeks. I mean, losing close games, but now Jones is on one leg, and I don't know. They look very vulnerable to me.
And that schedule is tough. Like if they even split down and go 3-3 when I was looking at it last week before that game. If they end up going 3-2 or 2-3, it might be enough to knock them out of that. Like, they play the Jags twice. If the Jags sweep them, Jags are probably going to take that division at that point. I think it's really they started off hot. It's one of those teams we see every year that look good. Oh, man, you got this quarterback playing really well. If they finish this final 5 games and finish it well, I'd probably feel a lot differently. Like, maybe they are legitimately good. But, again, I feel like they're the rest of the teams where I say I don't really respect it because I want to see Daniel Jones in high-leverage situations.
Right.
We saw it earlier in the season, and he looked really good. But I want to see it late in the season. I want to see it in playoff situations to make me think that they're actually going to be a good team. And they traded for Sauce Gardner, and now he's out with a foot injury. So, that's a big part of their defense. And I like Lou Anarumo. I think he can scheme it up. So maybe that's what they really rely on Jonathan Taylor and the defense creating turnovers. But then that makes me think of the Texans also. That looks like a legit defense. You guys know, you just saw them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That pass rush is frightening for every team in the league. But can that offense muster up enough? I do wonder. And maybe if they start being more conservative with it, and I think they have leaned on the run a little bit more. Woody Marks looks good as a rookie, and then feed Nico Collins in your weapons. I think you can take it a little bit off of C.J. Stroud's plate, and maybe they can make a run themselves.
Joe, it's always great news when we find out that we've booked you. And today, of course, continues that. So thank you for your time, and enjoy the game on Sunday. Will you be there?
I will be there. I'm excited for that. So I'll have to brave the cold for that day.
You'll manage, I think. Thank you, Joe.
I think I will. Thanks, guys.
Joe Goodberry. Jonathan Taylor, when I think about the Colts and Taylor, it's, just the Colts offense. Have they overdone it with him? Like, has he been too much of a part of their offense? Maybe not. He's third in the NFL in carries. Christian McCaffrey is first, and you would sooner question that about him because of his age than you would probably Jonathan Taylor. James Cook is second. James Cook is second in the league in rushes. Not only has he had the yards and really more last year, but still had the touchdowns, he's also second in the league in rushing yards this year, 1228. He's only 54 yards behind Taylor for the rushing lead.
And he's got 8 touchdowns.
Too.
I don't think he's going to get to 16 at this point, but it's not, he's tracking towards 12, which, is not that steep a drop-off at all from the year last year. Where
right, no, that's right. Many. That's right. Allen is second in the league in rushing touchdowns with 11, tied with Josh Jacobs behind Taylor. So
how many does Taylor have again?
15.
Wow.
But he's slowing down. I mean, the last couple of games.
Yeah.
And not only, as Joe said, do they play Jacksonville twice starting this week, but in between they go to Seattle, they have San Francisco, and they have at the end Houston again, at Houston. So no easy marks there for the Colts.
I wish I would have tailed you on they're going to miss the playoffs action because that looks better and better all the time.
Yes, it came up on Bet Sweats today. I have to figure out if there's a move to make. Because when I did all that, I also bet on Jacksonville to win that division and Houston. And they both can't.
Right.
I believe they both can't.
That's not how it works.
So
right.
Do I want to get out on one of them before they lose a game? I don't know. Maybe I'll just ignore that. But, yep, so far so good on that. It'll help me a lot in that department if the Colts lose in Jacksonville. Is there a team in this AFC mix that you really hope the Bills can avoid? 803-0550. Sal at 5. The Sabres and the Flyers tonight. Pregame at 6:30 from Philadelphia. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
The Buffalo Bills were back to practice today, getting ready for the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. The injury report for the Bills here: Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, Dalton Kincaid practicing on a limited basis, while Joey Bosa, Joshua Palmer, and Terrell Bernard all did not participate in practice. Head coach Sean McDermott said today that Bosa's injury is a week-to-week injury at the moment. Other Bills news: Christian Benford named AFC Defensive Player of the Week after the cornerback had a fumble recovery for a touchdown and an interception against the Steelers this past weekend. Around the NFL, the Cleveland Browns have opened up the practice window for quarterback Deshaun Watson. Watson has not played since last year after suffering an Achilles injury. The Kansas City Chiefs have placed offensive tackle Josh Simmons on injured reserve. Simmons will be out for at least 4 weeks, dealing with a wrist injury. To hockey, the Buffalo Sabres starting a 6-game road trip tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. Colton Ellis expected to get the start in net tonight for Buffalo. Samuel Ersson, the starter for Philly, in net. Puck drop for Sabres and Flyers starting at 7:30 tonight. Pregame starting at 6:30 here on WGR. Elsewhere in the NHL, Dallas Stars center Tyler Seguin suffered a torn ACL and is likely to be out for the rest of the season. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Derek Kramer. You're listening to WGR.
I don't think we can afford to be inconsistent. Not now. Not that you can ever be, don't get me wrong, but our backs are against the wall. That's the way it is, and that's our mindset. So I think we're all aware of there's no time for that right now, so we got to go.
Sean McDermott. I missed the beginning. Out of the room. Took a walk. Trying to do more of that again. Get back into the walking.
I was also
business.
walking. Yeah, I beat you in here by 10 seconds.
I went farther,
yeah,
maybe.
I guess. Yeah, all I really did was the men's room.
Last on the list of rivals. First is fun, easy. Not easy, but pretty cut and dried. Who are the Bills' biggest rivals? You can kind of easily do that. Just a matter of how you rank them. Who's last? I'll give you a team that you might not pick. I want to know, before I name it, and this might give it away, is a rivalry less of a rivalry when one team is sort of owning it?
Yes.
It has to be back and forth, right, to be peak?
Yes. That's why that's been a struggle for people of our generation with the Patriots, in the 2000s anyway, right? Starting out when they got good and were owning the Bills. Like, this isn't a rivalry. I'm just getting punked every time. This is not. I don't feel like I'm a rival. I'm a doormat. Red Sox Yankees was like this until 2004, really, playoff wise anyway. Like, I'm never beating you when it matters. I can't seem to do it. So I think you do need some back and forth. So if you've got a team that you just own, that is a contender for least compelling rivalry.
Least rivalry.
Right.
Well, it's not quite own, but most of the teams in the NFC, I think, would be hard to distinguish for this. Like, if you had to rank all 31 other teams by their, what the existence of a rivalry is with the Bills, a lot of them would be about the same. There really isn't one.
Mm-hmm.
I'd nominate the 49ers, though, because the history of the Bills and the 49ers, rarely have the Bills lost, if ever, a meaningful game to the 49ers. 1998. No, 98, the Bills won. That's the game where they had 20 penalties.
They turned that around.
95.
0-3, and then they beat them, I think.
95, yeah. 95 when Kelly was still playing, and they had a Sunday night in San Francisco where they lost. Now, all right, fine, but they won their division anyway.
Right.
They've rarely lost to the 49ers in a game that mattered. And then you have a couple of...
And they even won a playoff game with... Did they play... No, what am I thinking about here?
Mm-mm.
No, I'm sorry. Just keep moving.
Forget we said... Forget
Can we dump that? Yeah, no.
But no punt.
That makes no sense. No punt game, right?
No punt. Before that, 80 to clinch the AFC East, 80 in the mud. Candlestick.
That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of that. Then they beat the Jets in the Bill Simpson game.
That's the next year, but the 80 that clinched the division for them in 80.
I'm doing great. Let's just keep eating out of my brain with a spoon. It's working out great.
I'll just finish the point. It's not even that good. 92, the no punt game. 98, where you had the Niners take 20 penalties and Rob Johnson beat them. Then you had, last year was a joke of a game. I mean,
the game in Arizona.
Yep, before that, the meeting before that.
The thing about them, if we're really doing this, is that in the 90s, it never happened, and that would change this, obviously, because they never did meet in a Super Bowl, but they were... the 90 they were close. I don't remember the other NFC title games. Just remember the 91 where Leonard Marshall destroyed Joe Montana and the Giants won, and then the Bills played the Giants and were huge favorites and lost. They were two of the best teams of that era.
Sadly, you got all that right.
Yeah, sorry. I had to find a touchstone that I would nail.
Unfortunately, that's all true.
Yeah.
That part.
You can start listening to me again, people. Although, get some guardrails. They feel like it's like a rivalry that never got the fuse lit. They were both great, and it just they never met. It was always the Cowboys. It was twice the Cowboys, Redskins then, Commanders now, and the Giants. And I'm thinking of a more like an NFC team that like the Bears feel good for this for me. And I don't know. I'm not about to try. I mean, I should have known the 49er thing better than I did. I just feel like I always beat the Bears. And they're never good.
I think the Bills never beat the Bears.
They're never good. And
that's funny.
So, yeah, I mean, that Fred Jackson game there, the game on Christmas Eve a couple years ago
that I couldn't watch. So that makes sense.
I don't have a lot more here. I mean, the next game that comes to mind is the game where James Lofton is walking backwards into the end zone.
They won that
from whatever year that is.
91.
And I just feel like the Bears, I mean, they look like they might be good now. And okay, it'll be fun to watch that unfold and how their fans are feeling about it. I'm looking forward to talking to Joe and Sam tomorrow and Friday about the Bears being in the 1 seed spot and everything. But I don't know, the Bears, there's nothing there for me.
Bills-wise.
Yeah, right. At least the 49ers, I was gearing up to have to deal with them, and I never did. But I spent time thinking about how am I going to deal with Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. I never really thought. I mean, when the Bears were great, the Bills were in the midst of going 2-14 in consecutive years. So I never.
And that's the only time the Bears have been great.
Yeah, I've never thought about how am I going to stop Walter Payton? I never had to worry about it, and I still haven't. I've never felt like oh no, the Bears.
Oh, no, the Bears. Has anybody ever thought that? In 1985, teams probably thought that.
Yes.
That's it, though.
Yes.
There's a famous highlight from a Bears-Bills game in Orchard Park of Walter Payton jumping over the pile for a touchdown.
Yes.
It's a classic Payton highlight is this leap over the pile. So that game was in 1979, and the final score was 7-0. What was it like? How did we get sucked into this sport? Especially in Buffalo with games like this. There was an Atlanta game that was 3-0.
Yeah.
7-0 Bears is the final. I don't have the attendance, but I'm sure it was not huge.
Right.
The Bills had 7 first downs.
I don't know how we did it. All I know is that game. I know I can see the touchdown that Peyton scores in that game because when I was a little kid and that happened, we'd go outside and dive over the snow piles at the end of our driveway with a football like Walter Payton. And it was great because if you could clear the snow pile, there was softer snow on the other side of the pile. You just land on your head. Who cares? You're in 6 inches or a foot of snow, and it was the best. And that was Walter Payton.
That was his signature.
Yeah.
thing, right?
Sort of jackknifing over the line.
Right. He went 39 for 155 and a touchdown that day.
39 carries.
39 carries.
Load management.
Right. Heck with that. Nobody had ever uttered that phrase yet in the world.
He's just going to drive it till the tires fall off. That's basically.
Bills running back Curtis Brown, I don't know about load management, 9 for 7. Wasn't his day.
It didn't open many holes for him that day.
Joe Ferguson, 5 for 21 for 50 and a pick and 2 sacks. Passer rating 19. The Bills were 5-point favorites. It says here at Pro Football Reference. And they went in 3-2. It was windy. I'm seeing now late word that on October 7th, 1979, it was windy. Gusts north of 20 miles an hour. But that would have been fun?
No. There's no.
I got to go back. I'm at this game.
Yeah,
the Bills lose 7-0 with 7 first downs and 5 completed passes. I got to get back there. I got to go to another game. I just picked the wrong one. That was so cool. They're not all gems, I know.
Yeah. What year is this again?
79.
Yeah. No, I'll bet a lot of people didn't go back.
I bet a lot of people didn't go at all.
There were. There's plenty of games in that.
Oh, I love
era,
it.
and even like 5 years later, certainly in the 85 and 86 when they're really bad, or 84 and 85. Kelly is 86. They're still not great, but still the turnaround is happening. Where there's like 25,000 people there.
Oh, or less.
Yeah.
I went to games, a couple games that were less.
Incredible.
Less than 20.
To think about, like now.
In 84.
Yeah, that America's Game, whatever. What is it? Unfinished bit, whatever it is. The one that's about the Bills. Okay, they don't have the championship one, but there's a long form piece about the Bills. Missing Rings.
Missing Rings.
That's the name of it. It begins with footage of frozen lake and river, and then eventually the stadium, and it's just banks of blue seats and snow piles.
Yeah.
And there's a game going on. Like there's a game happening. It's like, I don't even know if they bothered clearing the stadium. It's like, whatever. Just come on out.
Just don't sit there.
Yeah, right.
Sit somewhere else.
We'll clear some. Bring a shovel on game day.
Like not opening the upper deck for,
right.
blizzard games or something at the arena.
It's incredible to remember that it was like that.
I don't have to ask, about going back. Because literally in that season, I went to my first game that year, and it was week 1. The Tom Dempsey miss that would have snapped the 0 for the 70s in a downpour. I was 7 years old, and I was at that game with my parents' friends.
Right, and that miss.
They wouldn't go.
The final score of that game was what?
9-7.
9-7, right. It would have been
and the Bills had
if he made it.
5 first downs in this game. Did we all stand and applaud first downs when they had 5 in a game in the opener? Did we really love first downs because they were rare? 5?
I cannot remember being in there.
It's amazing.
I remember very clearly 1973 being in there. This is the year the stadium opened, OJ, 2,000 yards. We went to see the Bengals that year, my dad and my older sister and myself. And from then until, I don't know, 7-8 years. Is there a Thursday night game with the Vikings or something in there somewhere? I went to that game. That's the next game I went to after 73. So 9 years in between going. I was a little kid for most of that. By 82, I graduated high school in 83. So I'm a teenager. I went with friends to that game in 82. But then from there, I don't think I'm in there again until the
David
game.
White?
No. There's a game they lose to New England in 87 that cost them. They were alive, but they lost the game at home to New England.
Fred Marion?
Yeah. And I'm there. That's my 33 and reigning, and I'm just outside the overhang. Right, so just sitting there getting drenched, and it's why I always feel for fans who sit through 35 and reigning, because that was pitiful. It was so bad.
Last game before the strike. Last Bills game before the strike in 82 was Minnesota. Right. Curtis Brown, he was 9 for 7 against the Bears. in this opener I went to, he was 9 for 10. We got to keep feeding Curtis Brown. Eventually, this is going to pop. 5 first downs. My favorite thing about that game, the 79 opener, Dempsey's miss, is meeting, I apologies if you've heard this story before, I know I've told it, is meeting Garo Yepremian in a golf tournament. I don't know, 2000 or so, in Rochester. He played in a golf tournament. A few of the Dolphins greats did. And I got into a conversation with Yepremian, who was the Dolphins kicker for most of the 70s, and this is the beginning of the 79 season, and they cut him. And he was, I don't know if he tried out here or was here in the preseason, but Chuck Knox was the Bills coach, and it was between Yepremian and Dempsey to take over to be the Bills kicker. And Knox picked Dempsey. And Yepremian watched this game on television. He'd been cut by the Dolphins, and he was, basically the last cut of the Bills, essentially. He's watching the game, and he told me that when Dempsey missed, he just laughed and laughed. Which, that could have gone either way, that maybe he would have been bitter toward Shula.
Right, if Dempsey...
But he was more bitter toward Knox.
Right.
Because he thought he was going to be the Bills kicker, or deserved to be.
Keep his career going.
He would have had a chance to beat Miami. Why wouldn't you just do that?
Right. Even just for that game.
Just for just for that game. What a story it would make.
Did he
break the streak?
Did he ever catch on anywhere else?
Yes, he went to New Orleans.
Okay.
He kicked for the Saints into the 80s, I think, but
okay.
I just was taken aback by how he was happy about that. Like he was so bitter.
Guy you picked missed.
Like you could have had me.
Yep.
So a lot of these people are dead. Yepremian, Knox, Shula. A lot of these people are dead. I don't know about Dempsey. Sal Capaccio with us at 5. The Sabres are in Philadelphia. Pregame at 6:30. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. Fun times, NFL playoff picture conversations happening constantly. Also college football with the latest standings or the playoff reveal, the rankings and all that. A lot of controversy there. We talked about this for a minute yesterday and also off the air, and Bulldog said he's not really interested in the politics of it all and the rankings. But I know you do love your SEC. And it's the SEC championship. Georgia, Alabama. Wouldn't you know it? Mm-hmm. These are the teams.
Go figure.
Georgia is favored by 2.5. Do you have a feel for that? Like, is that a line where they're sort of daring you to pick Alabama because it's 2.5 and not 3? Because I love taking a plus 2.5 because I think that's the message I'm getting is why not 3 then if Georgia's so good?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have as good a feel for those two teams as I'd like. Really, I sat with Alabama a little bit on Saturday or on the weekend. I don't remember. Does anyone remember what day games were on from Thursday, Friday, Saturday? I think I know what games were on Sunday, but anyway, I spent the whole weekend. No, rewind. Saturday, I watched a lot of college football, and I never saw an Indiana score. And I was out on Friday watching the NFL and the Sabres, and then I went out for some music, and I didn't know that Indiana had played on Friday night. I had them in our picks thing.
You did.
And on Saturday, all the scores, everything that's rolling is top 25, and I'm never seeing Indiana. I'm like, are they playing late? What is even going on here? They're playing Purdue. Where's the game? It took me until 10 o'clock at night to go, oh, they probably played yesterday, and there was 58-6 or whatever. They clobbered them. Yeah. So anyway, I have not sat with either Georgia or Alabama. I don't have a good feel for them this year.
Okay, we'll have Sal next. You may have seen earlier today that the Steelers cut Darius Slay, veteran cornerback. The Bills just claimed him.
Hello.
So we have that to talk about with Sal. The Bills have reportedly claimed Darius Slay off waivers today. Here we go. I mean, why not, right? Just everybody says he was bad. The Steelers cut him mid-season in a playoff race. Come on over. Sal Capaccio after sports. We'll talk about the injury news of the day, too. Dalton Kincaid has a new designation on his next to his name there on the injury report. How important is Kincaid at this point? I want to ask that question as we talk to Sal here after sports. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
back on the practice field today. More on that in a moment, as according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Buffalo Bills claimed cornerback Darius Slay off of waivers. Slay was released by the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday. Meanwhile, the Bills were back to practice today as they get ready for the Cincinnati Bengals. The injury report brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, and Dalton Kincaid all practiced on a limited basis today, while Joey Bosa, Joshua Palmer, and Terrell Bernard did not participate in practice. Head coach Sean McDermott saying that Bosa's injury is a week-to-week injury at the moment. Other Bills news from earlier today: Christian Benford was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week after his performance against Pittsburgh over the weekend, including a fumble recovery for a touchdown and an interception. Around the NFL, the Chiefs have placed offensive tackle Josh Simmons on injured reserve. Simmons will be out for at least 4 games as he is dealing with a fractured wrist. The Cleveland Browns opened their practice window for quarterback Deshaun Watson. Watson was injured last year with an Achilles tear. To hockey, the Buffalo Sabres begin a 6-game road trip tonight as they take on the Philadelphia Flyers. Colton Ellis expected to get the start in net for the Sabres. Samuel Ersson, the starter for Philly tonight. Buffalo is sitting in second last in the Atlantic Division, ahead of only the Florida Panthers, but also only 4 points out of third place within the division. Puck drop for Sabres and Flyers set for 7:30 tonight. Pregame starting at 6:30 here on WGR. This holiday season, we're kicking off Mission Give Where You Live to benefit Buffalo City Mission, powered by NYSEG. Starting now, going through December 19th, you can donate brand new sweatshirts, sweatpants, hats, gloves, scarves, and non-perishable food items to help keep our community warm and fed. Just stop at any Dash's Market location, drop off your donation in the Mission Give Where You Live donation bin. If you're shopping online, you can still help by giving through the Buffalo City Mission's Amazon wish list. This is sponsored by the Barnes Firm and Dash's Market. You can get all the details at kiss985.com. This update is brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Derek Kramer for WGR Sports Radio 550. Sal Capaccio coming up next.
Okay, well, only in the last several minutes, we have this news of the Bills claiming veteran cornerback Darius Slay off waivers from Pittsburgh. He was released by the Steelers yesterday and claimed by the Bills today. Sal has a tweet on it, how he's going to go right to the roster. And, I mean, it kind of doesn't take much analysis to sort of assume here that it wasn't going well in Pittsburgh. It's not like the Steelers are out of it. I mean, they're on the hook for money, and they're still waiving an accomplished player who's coming up on 35 years old. Sal with us now on the West Her hotline. Any better read on this than this is the Bills? Once again, they've done plenty of this at receiver for one position, kind of why not? Experience, depth, etc.
Yeah, no, that's all I can get on this one, guys. I think this is surprising to me. I did not see this one coming. Brandon Cooks being out there, you're not surprised, right? You could see maybe the Bills would want to do something like that. This was not an area where I felt that they wanted to or needed to go out and fortify a little bit, but obviously they feel differently. So what's the reasoning for that? Good question. Max Harrison's been playing well when he's been in the game, but he only played 13 snaps last week. Sean McDermott said that's kind of how the game went and flowed. I think Tre'Davious White, part of the reason for that is I think White's been playing well, and he did play well last week. Obviously, Christian Benford, he's having a really good year now and was just named AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Jamarcus Ingram is on the 53-man roster. He provides more special teams help. I mean, I don't see Darius Slay as a special teams guy at this point in his career.
Right.
And then you have Taron Johnson and Cam Lewis, obviously. So what I would say is, to me, this reads more like you said, depth, to have options, because if your pass rush is going to be compromised, the best way to try to atone for that or help make up for that would be as good as you can be on the back end. If you're to be as good as you can be on the back end, you might want to fortify your depth there. I think that's what I have for you right now.
Right. Well, will there be, I would imagine there's got to be a corresponding move of some kind, right? So I wonder who that will be. Like Ingram has that special teams piece, and maybe he and Lewis really from the guys in the secondary, and Hancock too. Sure. I wonder who's vulnerable there.
Could somebody go to IR?
Yes,
that could be a move, right?
Right, but it doesn't have to be somebody from that position, obviously, right?
Right.
It could be Joshua Palmer, who is once again, dealing with an injury that Sean McDermott said his body just can't get to where it needs to be at this point, right? If you just want to go down that road. Could it be one of the offensive linemen? They actually have now 10 offensive linemen. We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They've been carrying 9 all year, but because they activated Tylon Grable, they now have 10. Is there someone there? I don't know who would be a candidate necessarily. I would say, though, they are a little thick right now at defensive tackle, believe it or not. They have 6 on the roster, and that includes Fedarian Mathis and Jordan Phillips, along with Daquan Jones, Deion Walker, Larry Ogunjobi, and TJ Sanders. That would be an area that I would look and say maybe that's a spot where you are going to look at.
Okay, well, we'll see what comes. Maybe it'll be probably soon, right, Sal? I mean, if they've added this player, they need to make a move.
They get a day, yeah. So by tomorrow, I think you get a 1-day grace period to be able to do that.
Okay. Hey, by the way, and if you can keep this short, that's probably good. Mm-hmm. But we were talking 2 hours ago about Deshaun Watson having had his practice window opened by the Browns, and that completely stunned me. I didn't know that when Bulldog told me about it, and I was trying to do the math, or not the math, but the logic on when that happens in terms of when the physical happens. I think it should probably be that you pass the physical before this, so-called window opens. Would that be right?
Oh, sure. I mean, they're not going to put him on. They're not going to open his window and use one of their IR to return unless he's ready to practice. And you can't practice unless they're physically able to practice.
Okay, good.
So that's not going to happen. So he's practicing now with the team. I mean, that's what he's doing. So they wouldn't do that if he wasn't correct and right to be able to do that. So now, because it's December 3rd, that goes 21 days. That gets you to December 24th. So technically, he could be activated to the active roster after the Bills play the Browns on December 21st.
Or also before.
Or also before. And if he is, and I think you guys touched on this when I was driving back from the stadium, I was listening, they could also put him on the active roster but not play him. He doesn't have to actually be on the field as the starting quarterback or even the backup. He could be the number 3 guy or whatever. But he needs to be on the 53-man roster by December 24th, or else he goes back to IR for the rest of the year.
Okay. And a team would not have a, if you will, legal obligation to activate a player in this way just because he's healthy, right? Somebody could be healthy and ready, but the team doesn't have plans for them, so they would just leave him over there in the IR. This isn't something that has to happen.
That is correct. So last year, 2 years ago maybe it was, the Bills did this with it wasn't Isaiah Hodgins, actually. Now I'm thinking of who it was. It was a receiver they had on the roster. Maybe it was Isaiah Hodgins. Anyway, towards the end of the year, they put him on the IR to return, but he never came back. Just practiced for 3 weeks, and then they put him back on IR. That's okay. I think they just wanted to get him some reps and practice it and see what he looked like. And my apologies, it might not have been Hodgins. It was last year. It was somebody. But either way, that happened. Now, I will say this, Mike, okay? If a player is healthy enough to play and a team goes through this process that we're talking about and puts him on IR, the agent could file a grievance with the team and say, you need to release him then to give an injury settlement. So you could go down that road. That would be up to the agent and the player, depending on how they want to do that and how the money is handled. But he has guaranteed money and all that. So I don't know if you would do that in this situation anyway.
Okay, good. Thank you for clearing some of that up. The Bills' injury list today, Dalton Kincaid is limited, but now has a knee added to his status here. I want to know what you think this adds up to, if you can know. And then also hear you talk about his importance going forward. We've sort of had this vibe that they need Kincaid as he was, coming on before he got hurt in Miami. And they did lose the game in between, but they've had a couple of easy wins here, running the ball great. I don't know how much you might think they'd intend to lean on Kincaid when he is ready.
So let me just make sure everybody understands that today the media was not allowed to watch any practice like we normally would be able to. because they held a walkthrough. When they have a walkthrough, there's no media that's allowed to watch. My suspicion is they're going to do walkthroughs every Wednesday now. They usually have done that the last few years, every Wednesday leading into a Sunday game in December. It's just because it's late in the year and you're backing off on players' bodies and trying to get everybody, and keep everybody as fresh as possible. The reason I say that is because I didn't see Dalton Kincaid do anything in practice. He's listed as limited. And you have to also remember that when it's a walkthrough, it's an estimation of what they would have done if they were having a full practice. But you're right. He had the hamstring, which is why he's missed 3 games. And now he's got the knee injury also listed. Remember, Dalton Kincaid has had knee issues going back to last year when he had the knee injury, and then this year even to start the year. So I don't know exactly, what the severity is, but it could very well be before he gets back on the field, they want to make sure everything's good in all ways. So let's just, make sure with the knee, make sure with the hamstring. Okay, we're going to work on the knee a little bit. Also could mean that something's bothering him in his knee. And that's probably likely the case, considering he's on the injury report with that. But it doesn't have to be anything major, but it also probably isn't something to just kind of wash away. And it is something to monitor. That being said, he is limited today. And that's a good sign for a Wednesday leading into a Sunday game. And we'll see where it goes. Now, as far as the game this week against Cincinnati Bengals. Did you guys Justin? Oh, thank you. My buddy Mike just texted me. You might have heard that. Justin Shorter was the guy they did that with.
I was going to say Justin Shorter, but I didn't want to just throw darts.
I was also going to say Justin.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Shout out to my buddy Mike who texted
All right, Mike,
me that.
Way to
I was thinking Shavers, but they have the same letters.
It was
6, 7.
Justin Shorter. They actually brought him back
So does Hodgins.
I had a return, and then he never actually played. He was only on there for 3 weeks.
It's tough when they're all 6-letter first names, 7-letter last names. Thank you.
There you are with the numbers of letters again. Did you guys have Joe Goodberry on yet?
Yeah, we did. 4 o'clock today.
Did he mention about the tight ends against the Bengals? Did he go through this
No,
at
we
all?
did not get into that.
Okay, glad he didn't, because he was on It's Always Game Day in Buffalo with Matt Bove and I as well, and me, and you can go listen to that. And he said something astonishing to me. Like, he said he went through the numbers, and the Cincinnati Bengals are giving up, I want to get this number right, about 250 more yards against tight end compared to the second worst team in the league this year. That's how many more yards. Like, you take all the games combined, the number of yards tight ends have gained against each team. The Bengals have the most yards gained by a tight end against them by 250 to the next team. It's incredible. So, I think Dalton Kincaid would be a really, really big, massive boost for them this weekend.
Bulldog knows one game where that was true, that Steeler night game.
Yes.
He won all the money on Darnell Washington and Freiermuth.
Yep.
Colston Loveland lit him up late in that Bears game. We've talked about this before, and I think a lot of that is who you play. But they haven't played the Raiders or the Cardinals. They will play the Cardinals. But those are your, McBride is maybe threatening records. So, all right, well, what do I do with that? Is it Latu season if Kincaid can't play?
Right.
What do I want to do with
He's out
this?
of elevations.
Oh, he's out?
Oh, boy. Well,
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, they brought him up 3 times. So the only way that guy plays from now on is if they sign him to the 53-man roster.
And you don't see that
And that's
happening,
another
probably.
roster move you'd have to make. Yeah. If you're going to keep shuffling like that. Well, I mean, I'm very discouraged to hear that there's another designation there, like the hamstring / knee with Kincaid, because, the summer started with like the second day or third day of practice. You're like, oh, Kincaid, soreness. Like, oh no. We're picking up right where we left off last year, where he just isn't going to get his legs right. And then, and there's been in and out, but man, when he's on the field, he's been so effective for them. And I do think moving forward, I don't know necessarily this Sunday. I mean, every game here matters. If you're still thinking about the single-digit percentage chance you have of tracking New England down or just securing the best wild card spot you have, you want to win as many of these games as you can. But you also, I think, want to make sure, I'm thinking about Bosa for this too. I did not mind at all hearing that he's week to week, as long as it's not a month, because we joked around in the summer, bubble wrap this guy till January. Well, we made it to December, and he played them all, right? Has he missed any games? He's had the wrist problem, but he's played through that largely. I think it hampered him, but he still got through it. I'm at a point now where it's like, okay, just put him on ice for a couple of weeks. I mean, I'd like to have my best team on the field, especially next week in New England, but I need Bosa for January, and so don't push through the hamstring injury.
I don't disagree with you, and I think that they have shown that this year they're playing more of the long game on these things. I mean, I think Kincaid's a perfect example. He's missed 3 games with a hamstring injury, and he actually practiced a little bit last week. How about Joshua Palmer, who practiced a little bit and didn't come back? How about Taron Johnson, who practiced a little bit and didn't come back a few weeks before that? Mm-hmm. The Bills have shown that they're going to try to keep everybody as healthy as possible as they get towards the stretch run. The only upsetting part about that is they've lost ground. And I'm not saying it's because of that, but if you would have had a full complement of players, you never know if a game goes your way in Houston or a game goes your way in Atlanta that they don't wind up getting. And now they're in this situation where they're obviously behind the Patriots, and it doesn't look like they're going to catch the Patriots. So, at the end of the day, you want to be as healthy as possible going into the playoffs. I wish we all knew what would happen over the next 2 weeks between the Patriots and the Bills and Bengals and Patriots. And if the Bills win this game and then beat the Patriots, and I know Mike made the point earlier, he's right, the Patriots still have to lose a division game on top of it. But if you're still chasing and you're still there, I think that becomes a bit of a different, kind of tone of how you want to present yourself the last couple of games heading into the playoffs. Because if you're not going to be if you're not going to be the number 1 seed, as you guys know, you got to play 3 games in a row to get to the Super Bowl. And it might likely mean 3 games on the road. But that's different than having that week off. So if you get to week 18 and you know your scenario and you can back off on players, then you do it.
Yep.
And if you even know before that, you might do it even before that.
Yes, it's ironic, I think, compared with last year. You were chasing for the 1, and there was no time to rest. I mean, you had to until week 18. You had to just go all out for that, and then we came out of the season going. It's even more obvious how important it is to get that bye because, we saw the Bills kind of break down a little bit. They still did win 2 playoff games. Here, what's ironic is, you might not have a realistic shot at that, but your playoff odds are so good that you can go – perhaps it'll come to the point where you can go a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think this is mostly just something to talk about than something that actually is within a team because they're not going to rest – healthy starters. They never do that until the last game,
right.
Especially if they haven't clinched. And then, there's a path where they wouldn't make it, so we're not going to take Cincinnati lightly in this way or anything. But last year, you were sort of trapped in this race that ended up being unwinnable with Kansas City, and it was costly. And here, you could look at it kind of the opposite way.
Yeah, totally understand. I just think this is such a weird year, where you look at the standings and you see where you are and know that, okay, it's not just the Bills that they're not going to maybe win the division and get the 1 seed, but look at the teams that are going to win the division this year, right? And it's so flip-flopped.
Yep.
I mean, you have a year here, people have talked about it, you might not get Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati. Baltimore's tracking where they probably have a better chance than Pittsburgh to get in. But, man, it's kind of wild that I think the 5, 6, or 7 – I heard your discussion earlier. I liked it. We had the same discussion. I asked Matt Bove in a different way than you did to Bulldog Mike. I said, if I gave you the choice between at Houston, at Jacksonville, or at Indy, what would you choose? Or even Denver and New England we talked about. I don't know. Are you really that scared about any of them? Or Baltimore was one of them. My point what I'm making, though, is I think Houston would, at this point, be the team I wouldn't want to go to where – Baltimore doesn't seem right now, right? Where, that's a bad matchup for the Bills, but it's not like you're deathly afraid as much as you might have used to. And then the other ones are all, okay, I'll take my chances. I'll roll into Indy. I'll roll into Jacksonville. I'll go to Denver and Mile High if I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? I'll go to New England.
I feel this is interesting to me because I'm usually so the other way. I just have no fear of the Ravens. And it's still 5 more games, and maybe they just sort of get sharp.
That's what I'm kind of banking on when I say I don't want to play them.
There's always big injuries. There's always drama. Henry older. Jackson maybe a little bit broken. I don't know. They've proven when they're right to be kind of a playoff flop. And so okay. I think any of the story of the AFC might end up being like the AFC South because these are all teams that we tend to sleep on. Houston can look dangerous with that defense. I think Indianapolis is the weakest of the three, but they've also got the rushing leader, and there's a team there. And I don't know, Jacksonville has upside. I think Jacksonville. I mean, it's Jacksonville though. But
I'll say this: I think, guys, that matchup wise, I think Houston and Baltimore are tough for the Bills, right? For different reasons. Houston because of the way they play defense, Baltimore because of the way they play offense. Okay, I think matchup wise, I agree with you, Mike, that I'm not saying I'm not afraid at all of Baltimore, but they just don't look like the same team. And the Bills showed that if they really want to shut down Derrick Henry, they can pretty much devote population and people to do that like they did in the playoffs last year and hope that the Ravens make mistakes. And they did that. So, again, I'm not saying the Bills will go there and win. But all the other teams we're talking about, if the Bills went to any of those teams in the playoffs, New England, Denver, Jacksonville, Indy, I think those teams still have to play like really kind of either flawless football on their end or hope the Bills give them the game. Because the Bills are the better team. And that's what's hurt the Bills this year. The Bills played New England. I had this same discussion with a few media members today. We were talking about the Patriots. The Bills, the Patriots played the perfect game against the Bills. The Bills gave them the ball twice, and the Patriots still had to win the game on a late field goal at the end. Like, I think the Bills are still the better team than the Patriots. I know I'm sound crazy sitting here saying this, looking at the record. But the fact is, like, that's how that game went. They had to have a perfect game played and hope the Bills gave them mistakes, and that's what happened.
Yeah, they have. I mean, New England, they deserve credit. The quarterback is coming. I mean, he's the MVP maybe, right? It looks great. The coach has got a nice resume, and they've surprised everyone. They also have played maybe a historically easy schedule.
That's right.
The way it's all shaken out. I mean, yeah. So there is that. That's why next Sunday is so, I think, in focus. Not to look past the Bengals, but if you're right, and I'm inclined to agree with you. I think the Bills are the better team still, even though New England is in front of them like they are. But they got to prove it next Sunday. Yep. I mean, there's no getting around it.
And to all that talk about like how hard to push. If the Bills lose next Sunday, that's it.
The division's over.
There's 3 games after that, and it's all for jockeying wild cards spots that we may or may not even really care about, which would be sort of a bummer way to end the season. But they'd have even whatever happens against Cincinnati, they have to beat the Patriots to have a chance at first place. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, and the reason why the Bills are in this situation and the reason they lost to the Patriots is because they've given the ball away this year. Then you can't do that. And they haven't taken away as much. So they could go to England and still play a better game, but if they give the ball away, then New England's going to beat them. I mean, that's just because New England is, playing that kind of football where they take advantage of those kinds of mistakes from you. And by the way, for everybody who has been asking for the last several weeks, we know now the game is not being flexed. It's 1 p.m. on Sunday, a week from Sunday in New England.
Well, since 1979 came up earlier, no matter how bad you do with turnovers, you'll never be as bad as the Super Bowl champion 1979 Steelers with their 52 turnovers. What did the Bills have last year? 6? My favorite football stat.
That's amazing.
Including the playoffs, they turned the ball over 60 times and are considered one of the all-time best teams. It might have been on purpose. 60 turnovers.
Oh my God.
79.
Because they wanted to play defense so badly because they had the steel curtain. That's the show, right? You go to the game. The show is the defense. Give the other team the ball, Terry.
Right. That's right. Just let's make it interesting here.
Amazing.
Like you're playing basketball against a little kid or something. You just sort of give him a couple layups.
Yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. All right, thank you, Sal.
You got it, guy. Thanks a lot.
That's Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. His appearances are brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
They took it away 48 times. What was going on in this sport then? I just can't process the turnover numbers from the late 70s. Because there wasn't supposed to be any passing, right? There was
no, but that's the big part of it. I'll bet the interceptions are. I mean, fumbles,
26,
whatever. Right? The quarterbacks. I remember, that era, looking at the stats in the paper, and any guy who had even one more touchdown pass than interception was like, that's pretty good. I mean, like 20-20 would be 20 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. Okay, you got to take that.
Incredible.
It's just amazing, right?
Didn't coaches... Who's responsible for... We've got to start spreading the word turnovers are bad. We gotta fix this. Who was responsible for that? It's not Chuck Noll, apparently.
No, but that era is why I think probably, I don't know when, well, when you throw the ball, 3 things are going to happen, and 2 of them are bad. Like, I'll bet the 70s had a lot to do with that.
Must have. I can't take my eyes off the 79 stats. I will. 803-0550. Your thoughts on the AFC playoff picture. Bills and Bengals Sunday at 1. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. The Sabres are in Philadelphia pregame in just over an hour here on WGR.
According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Buffalo Bills claimed cornerback Darius Slay off of waivers today. Slay was released yesterday by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bills back at practice today. The injury report: Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, Dalton Kincaid practicing on a limited basis, while Joey Bosa, Joshua Palmer, and Terrell Bernard did not take part in practice today. Head coach Sean McDermott saying that Bosa's injury is a week-to-week concern. Other Bills news from today: cornerback Christian Benford was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week after his performance against the Steelers, including a fumble recovery for a touchdown and an interception. Around the NFL, the Cleveland Browns have opened the practice window for quarterback Deshaun Watson. Watson was injured last year with a ruptured Achilles. The Kansas City Chiefs have placed offensive tackle Josh Simmons on injured reserve. Simmons will be out for at least 4 games, recovering from a fractured wrist. To hockey, the Buffalo Sabres begin a 6-game road trip tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. Colton Ellis expected to start in net for Buffalo. Samuel Ersson on the other side for Philadelphia. Puck drop for Sabres and Flyers, 7:30 tonight. Pregame starting at 6:30 here on WGR. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines, brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Derek Kramer. You're listening to WGR.
Doesn't matter who wins. It really doesn't matter too much this week, but they have to split. And the Bengals have to beat the Ravens in the following week after the Bills. They could actually lose to the Bills, be 4-9, and still not really lose much space in this run. They have to win out. But even if they beat the Bills and lose to the Ravens, then it's pretty much done for them.
Joe Goodberry, our favorite Bengals analyst, happens to live here in Western New York, joining us earlier today. If you missed it, check it out on the Odyssey app. It was at 4 o'clock Eastern, if that helps you find it. Went until about 4:24. Time's approximate. It has been confirmed by the ESPN playoff machine that, and I think we've all seen this, that even if the Patriots lose to the Bills and the Ravens in weeks 15 and 16, they still will win the AFC East if they win the games after that against the Jets at New York and then the Dolphins in New England. So that's all they have to do.
So they need 3 losses. One of them against us, one of them against the Jets or the Dolphins.
I think they could beat Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
And still, the Bills could pass them.
Right. Okay.
If they lose a division game, I can.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, because they get to 4 losses, and one of them is.
If they lose to the Jets instead of the Ravens, the Bills can have them.
Okay.
And I imagine that's true of the Dolphins game, too. I'm doing this as we speak on the fabulous ESPN playoff machine. That is correct. Either a loss to the Jets or the Dolphins by the Patriots in those final 2 weeks would open the door, regardless of how they do against Baltimore.
And in case anyone's wondering, I don't want to muddy the waters even more, but I've heard some wondering, why is everyone so down on the division? Weren't they 3 down with 5 to go against Miami a couple of years ago? And that's right, they were. But what they had in their pocket was, Miami, of course, I don't think New England's going to collapse like Miami did. I think they're just a better team, more well-coached, whatever, better quarterback. But the Bills beat them in the first meeting. So you had a scenario where you could get to, all you had to do was tie them, and you'd have them if you beat them. And the Bills do not have, they need this help, like we're talking about here. They need the Patriots to lose another division game if they end up in a draw. And so that is a big part of why I think, I'm looking at it, trying to be objective about it. Like, I don't like my chances of that happening. I mean, it's nice that Miami and the Jets, they've won a couple. Like, they're a little, they're looking a little better.
Miami?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But still, I just think it's very unlikely. But whatever, it's still possible. It's just not to me as likely as Miami was, and that didn't really sitting 3 behind them with 5 to go. I don't think I like their chances then, but you got a couple of results. The Bills, have run the table, but they pointing to I can get them if I just beat them in that last game, and that just doesn't exist right now for the Bills with the Patriots.
The game I remember tipping that was the Dolphins losing at home to Tennessee at night on a Monday night, where there were 2 Monday night games. It was fantasy pressure, the end of the fantasy season, the playoffs, and they lost. It was in week 14. They lost 28-27 to Tennessee, and Will Levis. That was the one that gave the Bills some hope.
Yep.
Then they went to Baltimore and lost 56
to 19.
Yeah. That helped too.
They did win 2 in between there against the Jets and the Cowboys. Miami did. But, yeah, they were vulnerable. Mostly the biggest swing, to me, in my view, is that you had that win from earlier in the year in your pocket over Miami, and then you could sweep the head-to-head. And, of course, you don't have that with New England.
This year.
Right.
Speaking of the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa is the league leader, if you will, in interception percentage. Percentage of his passes that have been intercepted, 4.2. In 1979, the league average was 4.6. There were 18 quarterbacks that had a higher interception percentage than 4.2, which is the highest in the NFL right now. Geno Smith is second this year at 3.7. Marcus Mariota third at 3.2. 4 quarterbacks in the league now are over 3% interception rate. In 1979, it was 26. There are 28 teams. There are 28 qualifying quarterbacks somehow. I don't know what I've done here to sort that, but I've only got 28. Now, quarterbacks didn't get hurt either in 1979. They didn't get hurt.
Because they didn't run. And
that's funny.
And they also threw the ball up for grabs, apparently, often.
Would they try to make tackles on these plays?
Instead of getting hit, I don't know.
Every team's number one quarterback that year started at least 10 games. Joe Ferguson started all of them, 16, and had a relatively low 3.3% interception rate. His touchdown percent rate was also near the lowest at 3.1. That ranked near the bottom of the league. Roger Staubach, your guy. There was a reason why you liked him.
Roger the Dodger.
He was the best at avoiding picks that year anyway. 2.4.
All right.
He'd fit right in today.
Yes, he would.
And he could run.
And the running. Right. That's right.
Higher than Aaron Rodgers, barely. Lower than Justin Herbert. Staubach that year. You loved him, right?
Yes, I did. And therefore, I loved the Cowboys for a little while when I was a kid because of Roger Staubach, who played at Navy, and my dad had been in the Navy, and it was as simple as that. that was
fine.
Hey, Navy, all right, sure, I'm in.
And kind of everybody knew that about Staubach, right? Like casual fans knew his story. Heisman Trophy,
right.
Went into the Navy, and then a few years later...
took the league by storm, I guess. I don't know.
I guess.
Did you see that the Cowboys, this happened, I believe, on Sunday when they were kneeling out the game against the Chiefs? They are doing that Landry, that shift the linemen used to do with Dallas back in the day.
Yes.
When they are going for kneel downs, they are doing that.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a hat tip to Landry and those years, which I just love that. Or people don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to do it on the video. I guess I could on the video for the people watching on YouTube or the Twitch. But the linemen, they go up and they get in their stance, and then they just sort of stand up with their hands on their thighs for a moment and then get back in their stance.
It's true, though, that they can't put their hand down.
Right.
First.
They don't go all the way down. Otherwise, I think they would all be flagged for a false start or something. But, yeah, there is some wiggle room in there where they're doing it legally, and it looks so cool to see it again.
The flex offense, it was called, I think, Dallas.
The defense was the flex defense.
Oh.
So I don't know what the offense was.
The reflex.
Yeah. But I know I've had a rough day.
Off flex.
But I'm pretty sure the defense was the flex defense.
Afflex.
You're just going to keep going.
I'll stop.
Yeah.
False starts are starting to make me nuts.
Why is that?
Well, it's always been a stupid thing about football. Like, there being no literal measurement for what constitutes movement. I move my shoulder, that could be a penalty or not.
Yeah.
Now you have, all the time, you have right guards with that little, Baltimore might have invented this, that point, which is like a timing mechanism for the snap. They sort of point, they jerk their arm forward. That's not movement. That's okay.
It's like they're calling out a call change or something like, watch this guy, but it's really just to help the timing of their offense.
Yeah, I think like the snap will be the next beat.
Yeah.
On the road, you see teams do that. That's not movement, though. Pointing is not movement. And the worst is, there's always been sort of that element of lack of clarity when it came to this rule. Like a lot of things in football. The thing now, though, is all the time, the effort offenses are putting into trying to trap the defense into coming across. And there have been a couple of these, I won't remember games, but you see plays where the defense doesn't actually come across, but then the lineman steps back because they think they got him, or they're trying to sell that they got him. And then you just get this, conversation about what actually happened, and it's all just kind of like, this is how it's always going. Sort of this cheap attempt to sneak 5 yards, to sort of fake 5 yards.
Yeah.
If I can trick you.
It's such the end. We were talking, was this yesterday with Ross, about the kickers, right? Like how prominent kicking is, how much it matters, and how anti-ethical it is to the sport. I've always felt like this, everything you're talking about right here, like trying to trick, like oh, you move 5 yards, and like we all cheer, like, what are we doing?
Just play.
Yeah, right. Let him move early. I don't give a crap. Just play, will you, please? I don't need this. It's like a mockery. I don't know. I felt this way for many, many years. It just makes me crazy. What am I applauding? I got you to jump.
I think it was Sunday night.
I hate it.
In the Denver game where they called, one of these, and they showed, I think it was the Denver game, and they showed the replay, and like, I don't see anything.
Right.
You can't literally not move at all. Like, there's almost no way to do that. I mean, there's going to be slight movement, but there's some threshold that it has to cross, and no one will ever be able to define that for you. Just basically whether the official on the job that day sees it, or space ref maybe even sees it, and that's, I guess we have to settle. We can't have it perfect.
No.
But now you just have, like we're talking about, more and more teams. I mean, Dawkins had a thing, right, where he was...
He jumped, and then he tried to make it look like he was... He tried to get away with it. He knew he moved, and then he was like, like, no.
I thought, we did talk about that. It was in Houston.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe what he was doing was pointing because he can get away with the point.
Mm-hmm.
But he moved too.
He moved first and then pointed is what happened, I think. And the point was an attempt to cover up the movement. Like, I think he moved and then tried to, I was moving to point.
And I thought he just inadvertently moved, and he wanted to point, but he didn't. He knew he couldn't move his leg, and America's game. America's game.
Right.
Don't sneeze with the Super Bowl on the line, because that's the end of that. I mean, you're done. 5 yards. We can't have that. The Sabres are in Philadelphia. Pregame at 6:30. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here at 8:03:0550. This is WGR. A rival of the Bills are the Cincinnati Bengals. We talked about that here and there throughout the day. Where would you rank them? 803-0550. And also, not that this is really that doable, but who's last? Who's the Bills' least rival?
I like the Bears for this.
It's funny because I think of the Bills losing to the Bears. I've got an E.J. Manuel game. I've got a Kelly game. I've got the Nathan Peterman Hail Mary run game where they got blown out. But you had Chris Conti and
Fred Jackson, right? Yeah,
a couple other.
Yeah.
Lofton.
James Lofton walking backwards on a long touchdown reception in the 90s. Christmas Eve against Fields a few years ago. You get the benefit of the doubt on that one because you couldn't watch that game.
Right. I was in a 40-hour blackout from the blizzard that day. Christmas Eve.
And somehow miraculously, a lot of my neighborhood was out, but our house was not.
Did you work from home?
That's a great question. I don't remember. It might have been one of these weeks where, like, I'm off around the holidays, and I might have had that scheduled off as, like, my part of my vacation week.
Okay.
Because I don't remember doing post-game. I could have. I mean, but I don't remember if I did or not now.
I had to call in. I couldn't leave the house and just had no access to the game.
Right.
So I did not end up working that day. The Bills, the NFC is just something to talk about. The rivalry stuff with the NFC teams. Of course, you got a few Super Bowls here to consider. San Francisco would not be last on Cincinnati's list, but I nominate San Francisco for ours because the Bills have really beaten them in some famous games and hardly ever lost to them when it mattered. Carolina is the team the Bills have their best winning percentage against all time, 7-2. And second is Washington. Their best winning percentage against an AFC team lifetime is against, this is regular season only, I believe. Yes.
Jets.
Chiefs.
Wow.
29-21-1. 578. That's the best winning percentage lifetime against an AFC team, regular season only. 2-5 in the postseason. Yeah.
Those two are a long time ago.
One loss in the 60s, 2 wins in the 90s, and there's, I think, 4 in the last 5 years. Yikes. Maybe the Chiefs will miss the playoffs. How much are you thinking about that? How important is it to you, the Bills fan, that the Chiefs not get in the tournament? 803-0550 for your calls. Sabres pregame not until 6:30. So we'll talk some more football after the update here on WGR.
They begin a 6-game road trip tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. Head coach Lindy Ruff spoke earlier with the media. He has been tight-lipped about any changes to the lineup. Colton Ellis is expected to get the start in net tonight for Buffalo. Samuel Ersson on the other side for Philadelphia. Puck drop for Sabres and Flyers starts at 7:30 tonight. Pregame will begin in about a half hour's time at 6:30 here on WGR. It is a TNT game, which means that the only way to listen to Dan Dunleavy and Rob Ray on the call is right here on WGR. To football. The Bills claimed cornerback Darius Slay off of waivers. Slay was released by the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday. To make room for Slay, Buffalo waived fellow cornerback Jamarcus Ingram. Bills back at practice earlier today. Injury report brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-MILLION. Offensive lineman Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, as well as tight end Dalton Kincaid, practicing on a limited basis today, while defensive end Joey Bosa, wide receiver Joshua Palmer, and linebacker Terrell Bernard not practicing this afternoon. Earlier today, cornerback Christian Benford was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week after his performance in Pittsburgh, including a fumble recovery for a touchdown as well as an interception. Around the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens have agreed to a 3-year extension with tight end Mark Andrews for a total of $39.3 million and $23 million of that contract guaranteed. The Kansas City Chiefs have placed offensive tackle Josh Simmons on injured reserve. Simmons will be out for at least 4 games while recovering from a wrist injury. This holiday season, we're kicking off Mission Give Where You Live to benefit Buffalo City Mission, powered by NYSEG. Now through December 19th, you can donate brand new sweatshirts, sweatpants, hats, gloves, scarves, and non-perishable food items to help keep our community warm and fed. Just stop by any Dash's Market location, drop off your donation to the Mission Give Where You Live donation bin. If you're shopping online, you could still help out by giving through the Buffalo City Mission's Amazon wish list. Sponsored by the Barnes Firm and Dash's Market, get all the details at kiss985.com. This update's brought to you by Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Derek Kramer for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp.
Last night at 12:30 in the morning, I ate a can of mushrooms.
I did.
Pieces and stems, if you're wondering. As opposed to buttons. It was pieces and stems, which will be my next year's fantasy football team name.
Pieces and stems.
Pieces and stems.
And the Bulldog.
I should be ashamed to admit this publicly, but whatever. How long have we been doing this? I'm a junkie. I can't be trusted.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
When I was looking up Philadelphia Flyers history earlier, I wanted to know how long it's been since they've been in the playoffs, since they've won a round. It's not pretty. They've won one round since 2012, which I know the Sabres have not even been to the playoffs in that length of time, but it's still not good. So I was looking up Philadelphia, and I ended up on, cup winners. And cold weather cities to win the Stanley Cup. Pittsburgh has, in the last 20 years.
Okay.
Pittsburgh has won 3. Is that a cold weather city?
Yes.
Where's the line?
Mason-Dixon.
Mason-Dixon. And Pittsburgh is above the Mason-Dixon line. So I don't know a lot about the Mason-Dixon line, actually. I couldn't even tell you a story. I just heard of it.
I'm not even really positive of where it is, but I know it's below Pittsburgh.
It's below Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh has won 3 cups, and so has Chicago.
Also a cold weather city.
That would have to be considered a cold weather city. That's it since Detroit.
Right, that was the next team I was going to mention, but that's 20.
Detroit is like what?
Yeah. It's
08?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe?
Yeah. Well, that's within 20 years then.
No, that's right. That's right.
Okay, I just don't. I don't want their last cup to be more than 20 years ago. Is all I'm really dwelling on here. I just can't process that really. It's close. It sounds like if it's 08.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, they won back to back there, didn't they?
No, Pittsburgh beat them the next year.
Oh, that's right.
09.
Yeah.
So you have some cold weather representation here in the last 20 years, but as hockey fans would know, you can rattle off the names of the teams that have won. That
where
Denver isn't a cold weather city, is it? I think of it as a western city more than a.
Yeah, but it's a cold. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to include Denver?
I mean, geez, I was in Denver in late April one year, and it snowed like a foot.
All right, we'll include Denver. What about L.A.?
I got to work. Not L.A. What about Washington? Is Washington above the Mason-Dixon line?
It's above. If not above, it's like east of Virginia. It's basically like almost in Virginia.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that. I don't consider Washington a
cold weather city.
No,
I don't. But I mean, it does snow there, but it's not. Yeah, it's not like Pittsburgh or Cleveland.
Boston won.
Right. Okay.
Boston has to count.
Yes.
That's 11.
Yep.
All right. Sorry, I missed Boston.
All right. But yeah, there's been L.A. and
we're getting near half.
Vegas and obviously Florida and Tampa. Tampa won 2 in a row. Florida's won 2 in a row. They've been there 3 times in a row.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
Happened.
Yeah.
L.A. twice. Anaheim.
Back in 2007. All right.
Carolina. That's all. Because you go back to like when the Flyers were great.
Sure.
70s, early 80s. That's kind of the last time. I mean, Lindros for a minute there.
Yeah, they made the final, but got pounded.
All the teams in the league were cold weather cities. Like,
right.
Every year the winner was Canadian or Islanders 4 times, Jersey, coming up a little bit more recently. No big conclusion. Sorry. I don't want anybody to think there was one coming.
Turns out there wasn't.
It turns out
you might have started down the road thinking, I'm going to get somewhere with this. No, not really.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. That's what research is like.
You have to give up on it.
Yeah.
You want to find something interesting. You don't always.
Right.
Sadly.
Well, I'm happy that all played out live on the radio.
Sure you are. Very good. Sabres and Flyers tonight. I asked you earlier if you still have that Flyers hate. And there's a flicker.
Yeah.
You think you'll get it tonight?
It'll happen when I sit down to watch it, but right now, no. I don't really feel it right now.
Are they good? Like their record is okay. So is everybody's.
Right. They're like the Sabres without 14 years. Like let's see if we can put a year together here. Maybe if they some nice young pieces, right? Zegras has been pretty decent for them. That was an off-season move. Mm-hmm. Michkov, the draft pick from a couple of years ago, looks fantastic. Konechny's still a good, really good, pretty high-end player. I don't know. Is Ristolainen still pulling down minutes for this team? I haven't thought about it.
Probably.
I have the Sabres lineup open, but I haven't looked at Philly. He started the year hurt, I think, so he might be dinged.
He remains. He's still out.
Okay.
The Flyers said, I don't really know. I'm just reading this. The Flyers said on October 27th that he remains 4 to 6 weeks away from return.
Okay.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Maybe tonight's the night. I don't know.
Paul
will know.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. Yeah,
I haven't heard anything either.
I haven't heard anything.
I didn't hear anything about Deshaun Watson though.
Apparently I'm the clearinghouse for Deshaun Watson news.
Is anything sort of clarified or needed? Do we need to say from talking to Sal about that? Like it did. He confirmed what we thought, which is. The player has to be physically ready to practice before they'll open the window. It wouldn't just be sort of presumptive.
Right.
So apparently that's where Watson is, which is, I think, a pretty big story. Not just that he's there by now, but that the Browns, who have no necessary obligation to put him on the practice field, are still doing it. Which means what? They want to see him? Why would they want to see him?
I don't know. Do they want to expose him to injury so they have an out in the offseason? I mean, I don't know. That's awfully creepy and weird, and I don't really believe it. But I don't know what I can't think of a better reason. I mean, they have $40 million to gain in salary cap space if they can prove that he's not healthy next year. So I don't know if he's healthy now. I don't know why. play him, hope he gets. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't want to say it again. It's just I don't have a better answer.
Sal mentioned that a team, or rather a player, can file a grievance if they're being stashed
right
on an injured list, but they're not really hurt. And that might be
maybe
a consideration here.
Yeah.
Like they might feel like they have to get him on the field, and then we'll see what happens next year. But it just I was giving no thought to him.
Yeah, it's possible that his agent told them, like, look, he's healthy, he's been healthy. You got to do something, or we're gonna do something. We'll raise a stink with the PA or something. I don't know. I can't imagine that he's in their plans.
Past the extent that he has to be.
Right. Like that he's like, well, we get him up and running here late this year. He can have a good off season and come in here and be our guy again next year. I cannot fathom that. If that just, he eventually gets sent on his way by Cleveland, does anybody take the flyer on him?
Yes. We have had this conversation. I think in the offseason, this is going to be wild. How many teams are lost at quarterback? I talk to Matthew Collar every week. I'll do his podcast tomorrow. Like, he thinks Cousins will be the Viking starting quarterback next year.
Oh, boy. Wow.
I think he thinks that they'll actually do that. And that is a good example of this point. I mean, they have a history with Kirk Cousins, but what happens to Kyler Murray? What happens to Tua? What happens to some of these younger guys that have not been that good? Even like Penix, but he got hurt. What happens to Atlanta? I mean, just there are more than 10 teams that will be scrambling. And I think it makes for guys like Brissett, it's got to be a windfall for somebody like that, which is crazy to think that could have been possible before the season. I mean, he was classic journeyman guy, and he's lighting things up. They never win a game.
Right, but he's thrown it all over the place, and he might be playing himself into a 2-year, $50 million contract somewhere.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's kind of been a fantasy savior. Trey McBride, I think, has more touchdowns with Brissett than with Murray, and it's something like 37 games with Murray. So he's unlocking. Imagine like how complicated it can be sometimes. And here comes the backup who's going to throw the ball to their best guys. That's what Flacco did. He showed up. Which one's Jamar Chase? Here.
Right.
I'll get intercepted sometimes. So what? It's worth it.
Right.
Other quarterbacks, they're just like afraid to do that, or they blame the scheme or something else. So it's nice for Brissett. And so he starts somewhere next year, maybe even Arizona. Maybe Arizona pulls the plug on Murray if they can do it contractually, if there's a way to do it. Those things can be, much easier said than done.
There is. They can split it up, and it's like 40 and 30 or something, I think.
Is dead money?
Is the dead money, yeah. Like over 2 years if they designated post-June 1st. I've read a little bit about this because I think that they are going to just scrape that clean. Because nobody that's in power there was involved with him. Drafting, contract, it's all clean. And they clearly the fact that Brissett has gotten the offense at least on the rails might be the most damning thing of all in the end. But it doesn't even take into account Murray's personality or whatever, whether they trust him or want him as the leader and the face of the franchise and all that jazz. I just think they might think he can't play as well as a journeyman backup is playing. So let's get out of this.
A couple of these, we were maybe at the Hall of Fame dinner talking about this. We were.
Yep.
And I said there might be like a dozen teams or more in this bucket, even perhaps Denver, but I know Denver's winning and they're not. I mean, at this point.
No, it's
a couple of other teams I think may have changed for them since that night. Jacksonville is probably having a good enough season where I doubt they're talking about what's Dempsey talking about on his show? Like, who's the quarterback of the team next year?
Not replacing Trevor Lawrence. Carolina might be a team that was on the list and is now not.
Right. because they reportedly are going to pick up the 5th-year option on Bryce Young, which is, I guess.
It's still kind of up and down. I mean, he had an incredible game and then a lousy game and now another good game. And, like, I don't know. But that I think you got to take that, right? Given how unstable it could be. And the 5th-year option is not the contract, right? It's not the monster contract yet. It's just, it even is a little bit of a backhanded compliment because what did the Bills do with Josh Allen? I mean, they picked up the option just to have it, but they did the contract before that option, or maybe it was a part of whatever. They did the deal before the 5th-year option year came into play. Mm-hmm. And maybe Carolina won't do that. Maybe they'll pick up the 5th-year option and just sort of like, let's just see how it goes. Right, that might be warranted, but they're off the list. I think at this point.
However you just said that sounded like Chris Berman. You just
yeah
tripped upon a Chris Berman impression. If you ever wanted to explore that,
good to know.
Okay, so yes, I think Carolina totally up and down. They could have not done that, and he's still their quarterback though. Like that's what happened to Trubisky,
right?
Which is just so awkward because you know that you're not their future guy, but you still work there. It's...
Right. I mean, you do. Trubisky had a chance to still make them want to give him a contract.
But they
didn't commit to the 5th year.
No, and the team also, as we talked about at the time, had incentive to not see that because they would have had a way worse deal. That happens sometimes, right? Like the guy just improves and, well, let's just sign him.
Right.
But you still look bad even then.
Right.
Because you could have had the foresight. Mm-hmm. You didn't see it coming. So maybe not as many as there were, in my mind, a couple of weeks ago for this. I don't know. Is Indianapolis one? What has to happen there? Do they have to get in? Do they have to win in the playoffs? They might not have a better idea. That one, I don't know his contract, Daniel Jones. But that one...
2 years, I think they did with him.
Well,
I think.
Fine. It would have otherwise been like Darnold in Minnesota.
Right.
Although they don't have the rookie either. No way did they move away from Daniel Jones, right? In this landscape? No matter what happens?
I think that's probably right. Because even if it really derails to the extent where they don't make the playoffs, there's going to be, he's playing with a broken leg and it looked good, and I'm sorry, he only signed a 1-year deal. So he is not under contract after this year with them. 1-year contract.
Okay.
With the Colts.
So is he not probably in a position to score?
To some extent, yeah. Like better than what I suggested with Brissett. But I don't know how much bigger than that. Because, again, if it gets back on track and they win 12 games, then it's 5 years, $50 million a year, probably, or something ridiculous like that, God. Right? That's the market. That's the market.
Daniel P. Dimes.
If they lose out or only win one more and they miss, and he's compromised, but he tries to gut it out and all that jazz, then it's maybe more like Geno in Seattle. I could see that with Daniel Jones.
Which is like they give him a new contract. They make him their starting quarterback.
But it's you can get out of it quickly, and it's not the top of market money.
Seattle has the best point differential in the NFL.
I did not know that.
You buy them as a bet sweats are talking about this every day. The Rams and the Seahawks, and are they the top 2 teams in the league?
Doesn't everyone look at him, Darnold, and them and go, I'm waiting until the end? He turned into a pumpkin last year. He'll turn into a pumpkin again. I don't know. They've managed to, he's made it work and then some. They've been great. He's been great. I just don't know. You blow up like that at the end, that's on your resume. It's going to be top of mind for a lot of people. I'll bet even Seahawks fans who are loving this year are kind of like, I got to see him do it in the playoffs. So I'm not quite there. The rest of it looks, the defense looks fantastic. They look really nice.
Third in points allowed. That'll give you the top point differential.
It seems like you cannot stop their number one receiver. I mean, it's just he's automatic, it seems like.
He had a quiet game last week, though.
Yeah.
Which was a pivotal result in fantasy. JSN had become like such a lock. But last week, I want to say 4 for 23 against Minnesota. Nothing happened in that game but Minnesota turnovers.
Right.
Like Minnesota could not move the ball. Max Brosmer, I think they want us to say it that way, Brosmer.
Okay.
I mean, just no offense at all. And Seattle really didn't need to do anything.
You got to make sure you get the name of a guy you're probably never going to hear from again, right?
I mean, right. You got to try. Everybody was saying Brosmer, and then there was some movement to change that last week.
Did I miss a meeting on Mariota's pronunciation, by the way? Did you notice this on Sunday Night Football? The first half of the game into the second half, both Tirico and Collinsworth were pronouncing Mariota's name Mariota with the emphasis on the O. Like I'd never really heard it before. And then the second half of the game started, and Tirico just abandoned it, but Collinsworth kept going for like a series or two, and then he stopped too. And I just thought, did they have a bet or something? Because I thought, it's possible Mariota met with them and said, my name is actually pronounced this way, and they wanted to set okay, this is how this man wants his name said. We're going to respect that. But then they just stopped. It was just very odd to me.
I feel like I heard it all night from Collinsworth, no?
I know Tirico definitely stopped.
Okay.
And I felt like shortly thereafter, Collinsworth did too, but I might have fell asleep.
Talinder.
Right. It's echoes of all that. Right.
Ludman. We're all supposed to speak with accents now. I'm
not here to make fun of the way the man might want his name pronounced. I just thought it was odd that the announcers didn't go all the way with it. I just that was strange to me.
Maybe that's what happened.
Maybe it was just habits. They fell into their old habit of calling him by the way that he said it his whole career. At least I think.
Is he a starting quarterback next year, week 1 for somebody? That's a close one.
He had a pretty good night.
He did
on Sunday night.
He's tough to believe in for me. There's talent. I just that game Sunday night. They almost got it. It's one play, but I was just kind of the whole time thinking there's going to be a play.
Right.
There's going to be a thing in the end, and they lose.
Yeah.
He did get McLaurin. Is that how you say it? McLaurin on the touchdown. According to Pro Football Reference, they want you to say Mariota. Mar. M-A-R. That's phonetically, that would be Mar, right? Like the word?
Yeah. I don't know.
Botterill.
You're right. Right. There we are again.
We don't have to speak with accents out here, people.
Yeah.
Just do your best. Get it close, and I think we're all right. Although, maybe that's offensive.
Right. That's why I'm saying, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I just thought it was weird that they did it for a while and then it disappeared. Because if he wants his name, I'm fine. I'll say Mariota if you want me to. If that's how it's going to be.
It's going to bother me.
But I don't really. I don't know. I need you guys to set the bar, and you started jumping over it and then just stopped. I don't know. It was strange.
That, keep you on your toes.
I guess so.
Makes life interesting.
Right.
Paul Hamilton will join us after sports to set up Sabres Flyers tonight from Philadelphia. The first of 6 consecutive Sabres games being played on the road. We'll discuss it after the break. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.